Hello and welcome back to Blood and Ashes. This is episode 114, where we will cover Knife of Dreams, chapters 26 through 28. I am your host Mo, and I'm joined once more by my very handy friends, Willie.
I'm so happy you said my name first, because I have always been more handier than Jody.
And Jody.
Buongiorno, Willie's a liar. Hey everybody, how's it going?
Well, of one thing you can be sure, you are both twice as handy as Rand.
Yeah, yes.
Well, doubly
I have
handed.
50% more hands.
You have 100% more hands.
100% more hands, Jody. Your math is so bad.
No,
you
my
liar
maths is
and your math
terrible.
is bad.
Yeah, I can't lie, I can't do maths. I was just testing you. It was just a test. You passed, guys. Congratulations.
Thanks for keeping us sharp, Joe.
Whew, almost had you there.
That chapter, hey, like just out of nowhere, like in the middle of everything else, just, oh, by the way, Semirog attack, Rand loses his hand. Just like that. And then we move on.
Starting the podcast in the middle of my chapters now. All right, fine. It's cool. I'll just email my notes to you and you can read them.
Less so the content of the chapter. I was just, when I was reading the book, and again now when I was doing like my notes and stuff, I was like, oh yeah, this chapter, just like, it just pops up. Like there's no real build up. But I mean, last time we read about Rand and stuff, it's when he's told, like, okay, cool, yeah, no, the daughter of the Nine Moons will meet with you. And then it happens. Yeah, which is a bit of a surprise to me.
Well, sort of.
I mean,
Doesn't
it
really
wasn't a
happen.
surprise to us. It's like the idea of a trap. We know it because
Everybody
we know
knew
where
it was
the
a
true
trap.
order is. Everyone knew it
The
was a
reader,
trap,
the
so
characters.
It couldn't
I have
be
a
so
count.
drawn out.
Even the farmers that they walked past, the guy went, dude, that's a trap. And then just carried on hoeing his fields.
Goats. That's a trap.
But this is one of, I mean, I think this is one of the last chapters from Rand's point of view that we get in this book. There's a bunch of storylines that sort of like have big finales and endings. I feel like this is Rand's, and then there's still like Faile's to come, Matt and Tuon's whole climax, and then yeah, it's just
Wow.
it's yeah, wrapping up some cool stuff with like even bigger events coming, or at least ones with more build up.
I'm way into Gathering Storm already, like chapter 5 of Gathering Storm.
Really?
I've actually stopped and
I'm
gone back
holding
to
off.
Project Hail Mary, which is
Okay.
even more fun, if I dare say
Yeah,
so.
I mean, those Andy Weir books are fun, right?
Yeah.
I haven't read Project Hail Mary, only The Martian, which I really enjoyed.
Yeah. It was good. I watched the movie first, The Martian, and then I was like, all right, there's a book, and I read that too. I remember like reading it on a trip to South Africa or something, like on airports and planes, and done.
Yeah, it's a quick read as well.
Yeah.
It's
It's
an
not
easy
a very
read.
big book, yeah.
It's surprising how easy a read it is, considering like how much science and
Yeah.
stuff he is throwing in there, biology and all kinds of shit. Yeah. But we are not here to discuss Andy Weir and his books about space travel and marooned astronauts. We are here to talk about the Wheel of Time and, as we alluded to previously, some pretty major events and some very cool shit to read in these chapters. So let's have our vegetables first before we get to the good stuff in everybody's favorite section called Callbacks. Righto, we said in the previous episode that Rand was 6'6", or is, or will be. I don't know how to which tense to use, because they're
You
in
said
our
that.
future, right?
I didn't say that.
I said he was 6'8". And then Mo said 6'6",
I said
and I said
6'4".
okay, 6'8" with some fancy
6'3" or
boots.
something.
Or some people would say 6 foot 6.
You did take a guess at both Matt and Perrin's heights, Vil. You guessed that Matt is 6'3". He is 5'11".
What?
Yeah. So then
Yeah.
it's identical
Short
to
king.
me. I am 5'11", but I think I'm 6'3".
I mean, yes, actually, there's a lot of parallels there.
Indeed.
A couple other characters that are 5'11", Gareth Bryan and the Golem.
I could take that golem. He's smaller than I thought.
Willie, you guessed that Perrin is 6'1", and he is 6'1".
Yay!
Yes, that is 100 podcast points for me, and I'm now
100
so
podcast
far
points
in
for
the
you.
lead.
The only other sort of like recent notable character I could find that was also 6'1" is Furyk Kareddi, who will feature before the end of this book, but more on that
Kudos
later.
to the people that go and work out the length and the height and the girth and the width of everything in the world.
Like I said previously, the fandom wiki is where I got all this stuff, but they do have quite an extensive section at the beginning where they talk about like how they came up with some of these, because some of them are approximations and stuff. Like RJ isn't throwing exact heights around in the book, but there's a pretty robust set of rules that they follow to come up with these. So it's, take it from whence it comes. We spoke briefly about the song Sugar Man from Rodriguez.
Oh,
the line, Vil, is Sugar Man met a false friend on a lonely, dusty road, lost my heart, and when I found it, it had turned to dead black coal, like Billy's heart. Ring a bell now?
Obsidian heart.
I'm going to listen to that after this recording.
Potato. Then there was the kinswoman called Zarya Al-Kasi, who ran away from the tower after 5 years as a novice, is who I thought might have been an Aes Sedai before, but was definitely confusing her with Satel. She was the one that originally gave Nynaeve and the other girls a lot of stick. Her name that she was using in the kin was Garenia. I don't know if you remember her, but Zarya Al-Kasi was her name, which I couldn't remember last time. Then we asked Joe, you actually thought that if the cleansing of Saidin had an effect on Saidar to the extent that it could be causing the Saidar wards for rats and Shadowspawn to be failing. Remember we spoke about the failing wards, like why would it only be happening to Saidar, and you had this theory. Turns out a lot of people online share the same theory. When people bring up the fact that it was only the female Kuden Call that broke, the male one is still intact, why that would be. Some people theorize in a way that I quite enjoy and can support, is the fact that Saidar had to do the heavy work of actually siphoning off the taint from Saidin, right? Like Rand was just sort of forcing Saidin through this quote-unquote sieve or funnel or like, flower-shaped weave that had been created with Saidar that was sort of like scraping the taint off Saidin. So it was doing the heavy work. And that's why Saidar would have been affected. I also, as is the... I guess the trend these days, I posed the question to some AI, both Google AI and ChatGPT, to see what they come up with. A whole bunch of bullshit, but in between all of that, this is really hard because like there was some mentions made, and some of this rang true. Like the Forsaken, apparently, sometimes, I'll take this from whence it comes again, ChatGPT. But tell me if this rings a bit of a bell for you, like how the Forsaken talk about how all these savages now, and like they sort of look down on all, like a lot of the channelers obviously of this time, and that comes from their own sort of inflated egos and stuff as well. But they also apparently sometimes make reference of old wards failing, which I think an AI might be confusing for or confusing with like the actual seals, how the seals of the Dark One's prison are busy breaking, but apparently the wards for the rats and stuff apparently in the White Tower are really, really old, and that Forsaken at various instances in the story allude to the fact that these wards kind of need tending and that they've not been tended, right? So that they could just be aging out, and that's why they're working now. But then then I said, okay, cool. Who says it and where? And then they say, oh, well, in this chapter in Lord of Chaos, Moghedian, in her point of view, says blah, blah, blah. And then you go read the chapter and it's not Moghedian's point of view.
And no one's talking about wards.
No one's talking about, it's Rand somewhere, like it is just like, it's so all over the place. So I tried to find a couple instances where I knew some of the Forsaken were speaking with each other, and like one or two that sort of the AI sort of guided me towards interactions where people are thinking these things, but it doesn't really come up. So I don't quite buy the aging thing. I'm inclined to lean more towards the Saidar taking strain from the cleansing.
Could be a bit of both. I mean, those wards are old. That makes sense, I suppose. But it's failing right now? Like now? After thousands and thousands of years? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think the implication and what RJ is trying to do is trying to show that the Dark One's touch on the world is becoming more and more pronounced, right? Like it's more and more visible everywhere.
Yeah. Just giving you some stress because the things you used to rely on are failing now. And the last battle's coming, so
Yeah.
just to cast some doubt in your minds, Aes Sedai.
Yeah. Then, Joe, a pretty quick pedantic correction for you. When Maurice and Narishma come to address the White Tower about bonding Ashman, you had said they'd come from the Black Tower, but they came from Rand.
Of course.
I know. It changes the complexion of that conversation completely, right? Like everything is now... No, full of shit.
Did I say that?
Yeah.
Because I did talk about the Black Tower, and I was like talking about how they want to give them 47 Ashaman to bond because the Black Tower had bonded 51 Aes Sedai. So I know the Black Tower was involved there. Maybe I misspoke.
Probably, but the pedant in me couldn't let it go. I'm so sorry. I apologize for my compulsion.
Compulsion. Capital C.
What we did say in that conversation, another place where AI fucked up badly, I asked a pretty basic question and it couldn't answer it, is why the number 47? Who are the 4 Ashaman that had been bonded by Aes Sedai as warders? And so obviously Narishma, who is there, who was front of mind, and Dharma Flynn was the other one that I could think of. AI quite confidently, ChatGPT comes back and says, there are 2 Ashaman that were bonded by Aes Sedai as warders. And I was like, okay, but what about Ibn Hopwell? And they go, oh yes, good catch. Ibn Hopwell was also bonded by an Aes Sedai. And I was like, but what about Calden Manfor? And they're like, yes, that's another one that was bonded by an Aes Sedai as a warder. I'm like, okay, fuck off, ChatGPT. You know nothing. So those are the 4. It's Narishma, Flynn, Hopwell, and Calden.
You can't ask it to do your homework. You can ask it to check your homework.
Isn't Sandomir also one now?
He is, but I think he was bonded after.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because there's a bunch of bonding going on that Rand is like, when the fuck did this happen? Nobody talked to me about it. And they just
specifically Sandomir, he in this chapter sort of thinks to himself, this bond caught everyone by surprise and it just happened, so yeah. Then, how many novices are there in the rebel camp? Well over 1,000. Egwene guesses around 100 in the novice dining hall in the White Tower. So the rebels outstripping the tower by magnitudes, right? Like it is.
Yes.
It is significant.
But they're cheating. They got all these old ladies, randos that they're finding everywhere. Anyone's welcome.
Who happen to be super powerful and really smart and really adept. Yeah.
And just awesome healers.
How dare they? Yeah. What else? Oh, Joe, you asked if the book that Ramonda and Egwene and Avienda had been reading, The Flame, the Blade, and the Heart, is the one from New Spring. I think the mention of a book in New Spring, I can't remember if Moraine reads one, but I know she busts one of the other
it's one accepted, of the other accepted in attendance to
Ellen,
the
yes.
yeah.
The book she was reading was called Hearts of Flame.
Oh, so close.
Very, very similar. Yeah.
First edition.
Very, very similar. Yeah.
Totally, and they republished it later on, 20 years later. Yes. They updated the name.
That's just the prequel.
It's a prequel, yeah. Yeah, it was.
All right, Willie, your turn for a spot of pedantry. It seems like when I re-listened to and edited the last podcast, I need to explain what the difference between putting a pin in something and what a callback is going to be. If I'm going to be putting a pin in something, I'm not going to be doing any research on it. I'm just going to wait and put a pin in it until we cover it in the main story. A callback is when I'll go and actually look something up. Every time you wanted to assign a callback to me, you said, put a pin in that one.
Martz goes, cool.
I don't have to do anything. Cool. Will do.
I apologize for nothing.
Yes, and I can't hear those words in any other voice other than what is the hedonism bot?
Hedonism bot, yeah.
Hedonism bot.
I was upset that you didn't use his accent, his way of saying it.
I apologize for nothing.
I am pleased.
So good.
I am content. You may continue.
Then there was a mention in the previous episode of Adalorna, who is the what do they call the battle general or the head of the Green Arger, right? And I was like, oh, isn't she one of the Black Archer hunters? She is not. Talene is the Green Archer member of the Black Archer hunters.
Yeah.
And then the last one here is, how much has the band of the Red Hand grown since Matt left them? We mentioned it briefly, but we were sort of light on the detail. And it was when Matt left them in Saladar, they were 2 banners, counting horse and foot. Now, when Telmanis comes back, he tells him 6 banners of horse and 5 of foot, and 1 banner of masons to build bridges and the like for the army. So 12 banners in total, 6 times the size of what that was. So it's not just a couple that got added in. It is now a massive force, which is great.
Rad.
Yes.
And all the hangers-on, I suppose. The wives and the fletchers and the farriers and the
the washerwoman and the blacksmiths,
the cooks,
and
everybody.
The cooks, yes.
Who's going to feed all those people?
But that's all from me. I feel like that was a really short callback from the old pedant. We must really have been on our game last time.
Oh, you're fading. You're dropping the ball, Moritz. I don't know.
Maybe he's just finally decided that we can be trusted and left alone.
To just let something go sometimes.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, that's not it. Surely
Nah.
not. Okay, so then less from me. Let's hear from our listeners in listener contributions. And Jonna Pierce is on a roll with her latest contribution, which goes like this. She says, "Good morning, Mo. Well, morning for me anyway. Not Sunday though, Joe.
Yeah.
I'm listening to chapter 26 and I had to call out something I meant to point out before. Back a couple episodes ago, you were discussing the chapter where Tuon is getting irritated about the Aes Sedai bugging her and she ends up snatching them in a trap and getting collars on them. You seem to think that she didn't mean to keep them leashed, but this chapter right here, from her perspective, makes me think that's not entirely accurate. She knew that Matt wouldn't let her keep them, so she wasn't really planning to at that time. But had she known a way to avoid him unleashing them, she totally would have kept them. She thinks here in this chapter about how she still wants all Marath Daman leashed, traitors punished, and stolen property restored, referring to the people she believes to be property." Yes, Jono, I agree, 100%. But I think what I was meaning to say, and at least I know that like what I was trying to convey in the moment, is that right there where they were in the menagerie with Tuon ostensibly Matt's captive, she knew that she wouldn't be holding on to these Aes Sedai as Damane for all the reasons that you mentioned. Like, Matt just wouldn't let it happen. And I agree that she still at this point wants to see all channelers collared and made Damane, but I think she knew it wasn't going to happen at that juncture and was just proving a point, like she didn't put up a fight or like try to convince Matt or try and make any kind of last ditch effort to keep them collared. But agreed, at this point in the story, Tuon is still very much in favor of collaring every single person that can channel.
Yeah.
Pretty keen to see like whether that changes or not. I would really love for that to change, but I'm not going to hold my breath. So Jonna continues and she says, she is still just so gross and I really can't recall if she ever actually changes her mind about it at all. I'll be looking for further evidence for either way. Quite right. Also, during this read, I'm thinking about Perrin's use of the fork root and how while we know Morghese, aka Magdan, has very little ability with the power to begin with, was she less able to hold the source after drinking this possibly weak-ass tea? She doesn't really mention that it seems much more difficult to her, but I'm not sure she even regularly attempts to even touch the source, so how much can she compare? Just a curiosity. I think when they are rescued here, Joe, you're probably the last one that just reads it.
Yeah.
She does drink some water because the rescuers bring some water.
Yeah.
And she drinks some
she
and then
falls
immediately
asleep.
passes out.
Yeah.
So I don't think while she's sitting in the thing trying to channel that little rag
Because
to blow
that
in the
was
wind and stuff, she's unaffected by fork
the
root.
biggest sort of with me going through this. I'm like, hold on, she's part of the camp. They're fetching water. They're drinking the same water from the same supply. There's no separate supply of water.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, did they rely on? Oh, the tea is now ready to go, and everyone's going to have a sip of water in the morning before the wolves come down. But anyway, we'll get there.
No, she just hadn't drunk any water that day. The first water she had was
or
after.
any refills, like if they had water skins of the
Yeah.
unfork-rooted water, like, on them until that's finished and they haven't replenished it. Because it does happen, Vil, immediately after she's rescued. Some of the rescuers give her water, and she's the one and no one knows why she's passed out.
Yeah. Maybe the tea just had to steep a little in the cistern, The longer you leave tea,
I mean, that's how tea
the
works.
stronger it gets, yeah. So they had to do it there. It came out, they put it in at night, and by the morning time it was nice and strong.
Steeped in tea and Two Rivers Bowmen.
And some Sean Chan and a whole bunch of
some
people.
Chaffo
saying,
Yield.
Get out of my chapters.
All right, let's get back to Jono, who says, anywho, looking forward to hearing your thoughts and discussions on these chapters, and thanks again for all the amazing work you do. Best, Jono. Thanks, Jono. Keep those coming. Right, then, Mitch Schindler also keeping up his momentum with this message saying, hi, Moritz, Aes Sedai go through the accepted test and then undergo the Aes Sedai test. They have to do 100 useless weaves under extremely difficult conditions. They make serenity and controlling their emotions an art form. So why do they seem to vomit at every opportunity, and why are they so intimidated by the sea folk? Does their entire self-worth evaporate when they discover they are not the biggest, nastiest predators in the jungle? I look forward to your next podcast, Mitch Schindler. Very official, Mitch. Thanks. I mean, that's my read as well. The Aes Sedai are trained into this, wild sense of superiority, entitlement, and casual acceptance that people will jump when they say so. They have that so flagrantly thrown back in their face by the sea folk and some other people that, like, I think their egos just can't take it. Like, when people don't just jump when they say jump, they fucking fall to pieces, which is, not what you would expect from an organization that prides themselves in that kind of control and serenity.
Also, just another example of how fucking terrible the sea folk are. Like, everyone hates them. As I just vomit at the sight of them. I understand that reaction.
Yeah. I mean, there's actually a couple instances where the Aes Sedai act, maybe not in specifically this way, but ways that we don't expect them to. Like, sometimes when they get really petty, when it's just Aes Sedai around each other, and they're sort of like, I remember there was one horse ride that Egwene does with a couple of the sort of like the close Aes Sedai around her in the rebel camp.
Oh,
and they're
yeah.
sort of like, they're arguing amongst each other, Morel and those guys, and I was just thinking, this is so un-Aes Sedai. Sort yourselves out. Snap out of it, you petty biatches.
I think during that point, wasn't that Beonin was with them, and it was her job to undermine them, so she was undermining them. That's why she was being confrontational to try and...
Maybe it could pick up. Yeah.
Because you never know who's Black Aja and
of
who's an agent. It's
Yeah.
like, that's why there is so much infighting, or more than usual, I would wager.
But they often resort to
yeah.
that kind of petty behavior. Yeah.
There's a lot of stress on these poor ladies. World's ending, though.
Thanks for that one, Mitch. And then, Willie, you must have sensed this with your attempted Kiwi accent earlier, but our favorite Kiwi is back with a banger. So this message from Gerald says, hey, I keep meaning to email with thoughts, etc., but other things keep getting in the way. Fortunately, the weather is rubbish this weekend and I feel like I need a break, so I've spent all day, a Saturday, at home. So an email, strap in. Some stuff about Egwene in the tower. Her behavior and interactions with everyone in the tower show that she is not just the Amelin seat, but she is also acting like an actual mother to many of them. From novice through to Aes Sedai, she is present, listening and communicating with all of them and showing awesome leadership skills. Add to this her interactions with the other Arjas. She is out there engaging with all the Arjas, discussing with them at their own levels and giving advice. It's no wonder that the novices all show her great respect. She would make a great wisdom. My note is, Nynaeve thought the same thing. That's true. I mean, I'm not going to keep singing Egwene's praises here. We all gave her love fest when she deserved it last time, but absolutely agree, Gerald. Gerald continues with, the response to Egwene saying Black Aja out loud is a great example of how the Black Aja have been able to make people believe it is something not to be mentioned. As per the movie The Usual Suspects, the greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing the world he didn't exist. The Black Aja have been able to press into the psyche of the Aes Sedai as a whole. That's super true. Like, they could be the ones making it like blasphemous to speak of it. I think it obviously plays into, many of those preconceived ideas and the egos of the Aes Sedai. Oh, we are the all dancing, leaders of the world. There's no way we could be corrupted, so like their hubris certainly lends them to follow this narrative. But absolutely the Black Archer would be manipulating them to further entrench that thinking.
Yeah, that sounds like exactly something that they would do. One of their first things. Welcome to the Black Archer. Rule number 1, never talk about the Black Archer. Number 2, tell everybody else not to talk about the Black Archer as well.
I'm looking forward to the Sean Chan attack. Note, in my head, they are called Sian Chan, lol, and also the dinners with Elida. I think that was pretty much my pronunciation as well. I think in my first read, at some point I went into the back and I looked up the pronunciation of Sean Chan. I was like, Sean Chan, not Sian Chan. I definitely had a pronunciation very similar to that, if not exactly the same, Gerald.
Do you remember how convinced I was at the beginning when in this recording, this podcast, how Kyrian was pronounced? I can't even remember how I was pronouncing it back then, but I was like, I remember. What? Kierheim, that's it. And I was like, no, I've looked it up. I convinced. I had read imaginary texts explaining this to me. Nope.
Yeah, here we are. Older and wiser.
It happens.
Other random thoughts from Gerald. Box wine is great at a festival. When it is empty, you can blow up the plastic bag the wine was in and use it as a pillow.
100%.
Mm-hmm. You can almost conjure that feeling right now of that like inflated, cheap, like tinfoil plastic bag on your face. I know what that feels like.
Waking it up because it's stuck to your face because it's all still sticky from your sweat and the leftover wine.
The leftover late harvest.
Drostehof.
Like a soup vein.
Yeah.
Sweet white stuff.
Oof, don't even talk to me about it, man.
Yeah, sense memories there. Gerald goes on to say, if we want to be nice to the Red Arger, that's a big if, maybe they can remodel themselves into the Arger that bonds mail channelers, and then they can be the police of Randland. And maybe they can be nice and not just go around kidnapping people. I was going to say they could be the Battle Arger, but that's the Greens gig. A question, how did Taim get raised to Forsaken? Did he take a trip up north somewhere in the Blight? Was there an interview or maybe a series of them? He is moving into a C-level position as the Dark Ones at the Dark Ones company, so a qualification process is needed. Did he have to go through some sort of evaluation? What is the process? I can't remember.
I don't know. I have no idea.
I know.
How long has? But he was a Dark Friend for many, many years before that. I
think so.
Guessing again. I think I've heard that somewhere. Like Kierheim.
The lines are so blurred with the whole Taim angle, right? Like how it seems pretty obvious that he was going to be Taim in the beginning, so then like that RJ had to retcon a story for how long or when he was a Dark Friend, and some of his behavior doesn't quite line up. Like, what was he really accomplishing as a Dark Friend by like giving Rand one of the seals? What did that achieve? If the shadow is really after the seals, did he turn to the dark or the shadow after he gave Rand? I don't know. It's all a bit murky. But in terms of becoming a Forsaken, I know that there's always a lot of talk about the Dreadlords, right? So like the other channelers that fight for the shadow that are not specifically the quote-unquote chosen, or the Forsaken as they truly should be known. I'm trying to spark a reaction from Willie, but he's distracted. And
he was sneezing.
I had a huge sneeze. So,
it's too late. You missed the job.
I have an allergic reaction to the word Forsaken.
Yeah.
So I just can't remember. I remember like Taim making an appearance in the final battle, but I don't know how it's announced that he is one of the Forsaken. I think, Willie, we might have to put a pin in it.
And well, what I would like to add to that is in writing such a vast story, you have the opportunity to put characters into place from an early age, from inception even of the story, but necessarily as things evolve and as ideas get thrown out the back door, that character, what you initially wanted or thought of him, is no longer required. And I think the Sea Folk is one of that groups that may have had a bigger purpose and early renditions of thinking, and then eventually just became, okay, it's now just too big to get rid of, so let's make them just an annoyance and basically a
Just
flag
flavor.
bearer, flavor. And the same, because I mean, there's multiple very strong characters that don't play huge roles, that's been given this sort of dark angle and their own little arc, and a lot of them play out to be something a lot bigger. But I think there's a few of them that just carry some dead weight, adds a little mystery.
The Prophet.
The Prophet. What I will say is the idea of time being one of the early ones that is led into the fold, and the ability to become a false dragon also creates a lot of false hope, and could have been an angle by the Chosen to start throwing chaos in for the first ones that got set free. Balthamel, perhaps maybe there was like a deal like, oh, male channeler, you should do this cool thing. Here's a lot of information, and get pulled into the fold and brought, had a little visit. Hasn't met Sharaharan then, but
Oh, I'm creating a callback for myself here. But does Taim get free? Because he was captured. Does he get freed during the course of the books, like post the Eye of the World?
He's always been around, but the Reds went, and I mean, who knows? The Black Archer could have freed him. There's so many Black Archer in the Reds that
he was
could
captured
potentially
and
have been the portion of him just being freed.
Wasn't there talk of, remember after the Stone of Tear was taken, and those Black Archer sisters, like two of them, the Joya and Amiko or something like that, were captured.
Joya was one of them, definitely.
They were captured in the Stone of Tear, and then interrogated by Moraine and stuff. And the two stories that they sort of had to decide between which one was the true plan of these like Black Archer sisters. One of them was going to Tanchico to find some lost relic. The other sort of decoy story they put out there was to go free Mazrim Taim or something like that, like to go link up in Saldea or in the Borderlands or something and go free him.
Maybe both were true.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sounds like they would choose either one of those. Side note, speaking about Red Aja, I mentioned as well, like, oh, maybe the Red Aja, eventually evolves into, just people who bond male channelers, and now we're talking about it in the writings as well. At the end of this book, it's Pavara, I want to say. She's the Red. Literally says that's their new job. That's the whole thing that they're discussing with the new head of the Red Aja. That's super
Sutama.
bitch. Yes. Yeah. Their whole new plan is to become the Aja that bonds male channelers. And she says it directly.
Well, they say that they're the best equipped to do it, right? Like, and their rationale makes sense.
That's why she can't
Even
find
Tana.
that many people to support her.
Yes.
Because this is already such a crazy idea.
Because it flips the Red Aja upside down.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because she travels like from the tower to the Black Tower. At the end of this episode, there's like a little POV in the middle of a chapter where she's doing exactly that, going to talk to Taim about this. So, we were on the right track. Robert Jordan thought of it before us.
Pretty eerie track as well, hey? Like when you get to that section, just like how the Ashaman and Taim present in that little POV is very menacing. Yeah, it's dripping with shadow influence, eh? Like it's just like you are acting like a Forsaken.
Clearly the bad guys.
We are really throwing it far forward in this book.
Yeah, but I'm just saying. We talked about, I've mentioned it, the people are writing in.
We're always talking about the red, the white, but we don't think about the idea that you have aligned people in both the Black Tower and the White Tower under the Black Aja or under Dark Friends. So it makes sense that there would at some point be an official reach out where there is prevalence of Dark Friends to say, well, we can double our numbers and double our influence of sphere of influence, and also, bring stuff down from the inside. So look out for who's very much in favor for going and talking. We know some of them aren't, but it is a
We
mechanic.
also
that's
know
there.
why they aren't.
Mm.
Those are Elida's plant, or not Elida's plants. Sorry, they're from the White Tower. They're the Arjahead's plants. They're the Faisal and who's the other one that didn't want to go bond Ashaman. But that's just because they're being obstinate, right? Like they're just contradicting everything that the Hall wants to do because that's their job. Anyway, we digress. Gerald has more email, believe it or not, and it goes, Death Gates, cool stuff. Why don't they all just open up over parts of the ocean? I would suggest they open up in space, but do these people have that concept? It would be better for all that resource to be put back in the ecosystem rather than drifting off into the sun. That makes me think, if you did open a gateway into space, would the air all start rushing out into space? What if you accidentally opened a gateway beside a black hole? I mean,
You'd be fucked.
and the exact same thing. Yeah.
Yes, the air does rush out of Earth into space. That's exactly how it works.
Yes, it would do exactly that. For some reason, it conjured in my mind that image of Spaceballs, the giant statue with the vacuum cleaner.
Yes. That's a very apt analogy. That's how it would work. Yeah.
Sucking away the atmosphere. Then Gerald had some a little spiel about like his.
May I respond to that quickly? Like,
Okay,
why
yes,
don't they open? I think the weave doesn't allow you to choose the destination. It just
No, it doesn't. It's random.
so you can't open it into space or in an ocean or anywhere. That's
No.
just part of the limitations.
And I mean, imagine trying to like concentrate on all the destinations that you're trying to pick for every single one of those.
While fighting 100,000 Trollocs outside a manor house. Yeah. Got other things to worry about.
I think the nature of the weave is like, I think we read that the nature of the weave is that it drops them in random places so as to not create a pile somewhere
Huge pile.
in someone's house.
The weave opens up in the land where the Grolm live, and that is what sustains them. Oh,
Cornerstone world.
the feed is back. The food is back, everyone. The food is back.
Jeez, eating dead
Food dump.
Trollocs. I suppose better than eating live Trollocs.
Yes, who bite back. Gerald continues with a nice long paragraph about his disappointment in the TV series. I don't want to turn this podcast into a show bashing episode, so I appreciate that, Gerald. I think we've made our point pretty clear on that. But he did end with this, and I'm editorializing that RJ had excellent world building, introducing 3 million named characters that you knew lots about, even if they are only ever mentioned once. A story that we don't want to end, which leads to the question, did Sanderson do it justice? Did he create many new characters rich with information that we came to care about? Or did he just tie up a whole bunch of loose ends and finish off the story?
I think the latter.
I was going to say, asking the wrong guys. We don't remember who he introduced at all.
Yeah,
we can't remember what we said in the last episode.
I can tell you, though, that 5 chapters into Gathering Storm, the style is noticeably different. I never noticed it
I
before.
remember that.
I'm reading it thinking, like, this is not Robert Jordan at all. It's abrupt.
I remember reading a lot about Matt, and Matt being very different. Like Matt being
That's
almost
what
in
people
like the
say online, yeah.
like almost like quippy, like what people drew. People make the comparison to like Marvel movies and how all the superheroes are all like smart Alex and stuff. You know, like that's how Matt is written in these last couple. I mean, he's always been a smart Alec, but like definitely with the Sanderson flavor. Sanderson writes that type of character in a lot of his novels.
Yes.
Like a lot of them have that kind of the guy that knows and he's like just using humor to deflect. You know. Yeah, I mean, loads.
Yeah.
Almost every book, I would say.
In the foreword, he mentions that his intention was never to try and imitate Robert Jordan, and that this is his own book. Like he thought I
think that would come across as stilted.
It's the right choice. I agree.
But that said, I mean, Robert Jordan's, they never met in person, but they did pass on, RJ did pass on like fully written chapters and a shit ton of notes and stuff, you know, so I think there would be parts. I think the last battle, I think some of that stuff is straight from Robert Jordan himself.
Well, we'll have to wait and see.
We will, and I'm sure we'll be commenting on it, like when it happens, I will be calling out the fact that, you can feel this is a Brando Sando slant. At least. Anyway, that's about it for now. Keep up the good work, Gerald. Keep those long emails coming. Right, gents. Quick, last little bit of admin that we need to take care of, and then we get into the good stuff. So let me quickly rush through. Previously on Blood and Ashes. We find out Ramonda has some begrudging respect for Egwene and how she has remained resistant to influence. When Nassau tells Ramonda that Lelaine has told her to stop investigating the murder of the Blue Archer sisters because it's Blue Archer business, Ramonda tells her to keep going with the investigations and to report to her in the meantime. When asked what she's learned so far, Nassau says not much except that Chiron and Anaya were very close with Cabriana Macandes. Theodrin arrives with the message that Lelaine has called for a sitting of the hall. On her way to the hall, Ramonda notes the significant number of novices and systems that Sharina Meloy, the very old novice herself, has put in place to keep things moving smoothly. She also notices that Halima and Delana are having an argument, and it seems like Halima is the one calling the shots. Once in the hall, Lelaine asks for the session to be made private and then announces a green sister was brought to her asking for Egwene Elvira and that she thought it best to put the woman's proposal before the hall. The green sister enters and it's Maurice, sent from Rand, accompanied by her Ashaman warder, Narishma. She announces herself, but Narishma feels someone channel Saidin and says as much. When the Aes Sedai in attendance realize he's an Ashaman, they bring in Nacelle, a Malkiri Green, to test a new weave she has worked out to detect the channeling of Saidin. Her test is successful. The weave works and can detect when Saidin is being channeled and at whom. Narishma announces the proposal from the Dragon Reborn that the Aes Sedai can bond 47 Ashaman as warders, but only of the rank soldier or dedicated, not full Ashaman. When the sister expresses concern over the taint on Saidin, or the sisters at least, Narishma says it has been cleansed and Maurice backs him up. Ramonda calls for a vote, and despite resistance from a couple plants from the tower, the vote is passed and the offer accepted. When the sisters ask about the significance of the number 47, Narishma tells them Elida's sisters sent to the Black Tower were bonded, so this would even up the numbers. 4 other Ashaman had already been bonded, and Ibn Hopwell has already died in service of his Aes Sedai when she was attacked by a woman wielding Saidin. This story is the final piece of the puzzle, and Ramonda realizes Halima is a Forsaken in disguise and is the woman who can channel Saidin. Halima had said she was a close traveling companion of Cabriana Macandes, the first of the 3 that was killed. She orders Halima and Delana's arrest, but they are found to have already left the camp. Back in the White Tower, Egwene is fighting her own battle in her own way. Elida has removed herself further and further from the daily dealings of the tower, and this has left gaps in which Egwene's resistance can germinate. Over the course of a few days, she manages to bring all the novices in the tower to respect her as the Amelin seat. She out-channels the accepted and is quickly put in the care of full sisters, and she immediately begins to plant seeds of dissent in their minds. She uses Leanne, who is constantly being visited by Aes Sedai, to plant even more seeds. She defies every sister, and as a result is quickly sent to the mistress of the novices for a beating multiple times a day. The pain does not bother her at all, and she eventually discovers how to actually smile and laugh about the pain, just like the Aiel do. She perplexes Alviarin, impresses Matt and Stepanios, and even gets some respect from Laris in the kitchen. Eventually, she runs into Biernan, who had previously sworn an oath to obey her as Amelin. She accuses Biernan of being a dark friend since she broke her oath, effectively lying, but Biernan explains that her reasoning for not following the oath anymore is that she does not see Egwene as Amelin anymore. But she is already regretting it and immediately allows Egwene to set her more tasks, re-establishing her loyalty to Egwene. Among the tasks is to warn the ferrets from the rebels that they have been betrayed by Biernan and that Elida knows who they are. Later she's talking to Leanne about Biernan, but notes that none of the sisters know travelling or the other weaves that Biernan had divulged to Elida, meaning either Biernan didn't share them or Elida is holding them secret. Eventually Egwene goes to the novice dining hall for breakfast, and all the novices stand for her as she enters. They set up her bench with a pillow, which she refuses, and wait for her to eat before they do. Egwene is winning her silent war. We check in on Elida through a Tarnafir POV, and Elida has lost touch with reality, taking to drinking in the morning. She seems completely unfazed by Egwene's presence in the tower and unaware of the influence that she's already starting to wield. Elida is also busy playing mind games with Medani, one of the rebel ferrets betrayed by Biernan and an old pillar friend of Elida's from when they were novices. Medani was trying to rekindle the relationship to spy on Elida, but now that Elida knows what she's up to, she is tormenting the sister. Elida declares that Egwene will serve her and Medani at supper that night. Meanwhile, Matt and his companions have left Val and Lucas' show and are traveling through the forest trying to get out of Altara. Matt is slightly feverish from his wound taken in Madeiran, but refuses to take healing from Aes Sedai. After Matt stops Julian from killing a retreating snake, Tuon realizes one more of her prophecies regarding her husband has been fulfilled, and she tells Matt he may kiss her. Matt kisses her lightly, but Tuon tells him not to treat her like a sister or a mother. Matt kisses her again, this time for real, and sets out sets out to curl her toes. Tuon only responds by saying, "He's hot. He must be feverish from his unhealed wounds." But then Vannon arrives with Talmanes, who is happy to see Matt and gives him a progress report on the band. Matt introduces Talmanes to Tuon, but can tell that Vannon had already spilled the beans. He tasks Vannon with leading them out of the mountains and to the band. Vannon says they'll never make it, but Matt orders him to go anyway. He needs time to think. And that brings us to today's episode, starting with chapter 26, called As If the World Were Fog. Vil, it would mean the world to me if you could clear the fog with a quick recap.
It's a difficult word for a vast chapter with multiple point of views, but I will do my best. We are carrying on now.
All right, before you start, Vil, should we do a point of view and then have a chat about it and then move on to the next point of view? Because they are quite
do
long.
that.
Right?
Yeah, they are quite long.
It's a big chapter.
I'll try and be very swift, like Akayin, but you never know. Point of view Tuon, the story is continuing, and we are with Towanda. Jody. Tuon is very surprised by Matt, and she is still thinking about that kiss. A kiss that not even words could prepare for. It was a real toe curler after all. Toy, on the other hand, is in deep debate over the changes with all the news of the band, the size of what it's been growing, and over this last couple of months that he's been away. She seems to think that he's got a firm hand, but has got many secrets. And some of them got away from her, as in him lying about knowing the Dragon Reborn. It's a pretty good one. While that thought goes on, Matt exclaims about crossbowmen. Not a great idea. Slow movers, can't ride. And, I mean, what can you do? Like, get off one dart, arrow every so often. But he's been put to ease by Talmanes telling him, no. Number one, I chose men who can ride. And number two, not with a new crank. He gestures 3 times the spinning arm, and you can let off 7 to 8 quarrels in a minute. Game changer. Tuon already sees. She's briefed and understands a few of these things, and she's like, she needs that for an army. A skilled artisan will be able to make a copy. Yes. Where did it come from, Matt wants to know, and he gets told about, the school for scientists and someone needing to make his way there, and along the way gave it to the band, sold it to the band, and taught the smithies or the armorers how to do it, and this is a huge game changer for them. So Lucia then asks Tuon, with her flashing fingers, who is this band they keep talking of? And Tuon responds to her that it's obviously Toy's personal army, and to listen and you'll learn something. But it's strange to see Matt with control, with the army. There's like a lot of learning. Like, this is like, whoa. She's been played properly. This is not a little lover boy dressed in pink bows running around with a queen name.
Oh, don't do it to us, Vil.
I want to say Alejandra, but it's not.
Thailand.
Yes, there we go.
That's it. There's Tai Li as well.
Yes.
And Teslin.
Anyway,
Stop it.
she thinks about his scar, because now there's more questions. Like, okay, but then all this, is he a lord? Is he nobility? The scar around his neck? Either way, she'll grill him about that later. All of these things that Talmanes has been learning about war and moving and what he's been doing, he's been reading the book Fog and Steel by Madok Comadrin. That Matt told him about. Matt didn't even realize, because Matt read that book 600 years before Hawkwind was born.
I think Matt wrote that book.
Could have written that
I'll
book.
go check it. Like, I think that the author of the book is in one of Matt's previous lives.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Anyway, this is where Tuon is like, we're not going to stop talking about books, flashes fingers at Lucia, who then tells him, maybe if you quiet down, you'll learn something. They have a little
Tit for tat.
snide tit for tat moment there. Anyway, not much happens then for the rest of the ride. They pass some cattle, to which crossbowmen actually raise their crossbow. Must be some weird buffalo with very long horns that can potentially be dangerous. Anyway, eventually Tom decides to come and ride alongside Tuon, and she says to him, like, wow, how strange is it that Matt just comes upon his, this band and Talmanis, and he's like, no, nothing strange. He's Taviran, my lady. She's like, Tavu? And he explains, no, Taviran. She's like, he's tied to the pattern, and translates to it. And he's like, yes, like said that Arthur Hawken was one of the strongest Taviran. How do you not know this? And she's like, shrugs it off like, what nonsense do these people believe in? And then immediately 3 birds fly up out of a bush around in a circle, and she's like, that's a sign I need to stay with Matt. And I'm like, okay, eat a little bit of that humble pie of yours. But there's bird calls. It's not real bird calls, because Alusha spots men with bows and arrows in the trees, and the calls are being replicated, and they've basically found the army, the band, and quickly humming of words that's being spread along, saying, Lord Matt is back, Lord Matt's back. There's a lot of affection towards Matt. She would expect that anyone who follows Matt's orders is a ragtag bunch, but surprisingly camped to be able to move really quickly, well disciplined, no one is drunk, none of that what we see in the Shido camp as a reference or of a comparison. Anyway, the song breaks out. It started off by one man, and then in all deep voices about Jacko the Shadows, and Matt, by raising one hand, silence falls, and he tells them just the quick orders that let's not let them know we're here already, and get ready to move quick. And everyone's stoked, and they fall quiet. And she's like, wow, he actually commands control of these guys. Like, he is being held in awe. Matt then asks, like, okay, Talmanis, tell me at least, do you have maps? And Talmanis stretches his arms out, creaks his knuckles, like, we don't just have maps. We have a map maker, a whole maps department. He's called Google. I mean, Roydell, Master Roydell. And he sends for Master Roydell. And this is where they unmount horses. Tuon hands Akeen over to a man with strict instructions on how to care for her horse, not just any ragstag mare that he's being handed. So Lucia does the same with Rosebud, I think was the horse's name. But this guy is just, he can't function. His brain is shut down. He is just staring into her ample, sparkly eyes, and until she slaps him, like, wake up. And anyway, that's where Tuon thinks, like, oh, I wish I could do that, but my eyes would be lowered for months if I were to slap a commoner. Maps arrive. Along with the maps, also some other officers, Dorian, Raimon, and Charlemagne.
Charlemagne? That
guy, with the name that I can't pronounce.
The one with the face.
Yes, the one with the face. Mistress Anan joins Tuon, where she's still, like, just trying to stay close to get every little bit of information, and says, yes, different world this for you, Tuon. And she acknowledges, but doesn't say it's a better world, because it's different doesn't mean it's right, which is what you'd expect. Map of the Sunshine campsites is what is required first, and Tuon is like, holy shit, how on earth did they get that? They know where every camp is, and pretty accurately as well. The Aes Sedai tried to peer over the shoulder, and Matt tells him, bugger off, you get information later, don't come and leer over my shoulders here.
Yeah.
Tuon then starts to question Talmanis. Is he a lord or not? And Talmanis is like, heck no. Matt hates them.
This is such a cool interaction.
I am one of the only ones probably that he likes. No, he's not, and story time ensues. and then down to how can Tuon questioning him, what does she think he's going to do? Like march 7,000, however many men they are, just tippy-toe around and not get caught. And they snigger because, yes, we've been doing that for a while. We've learned a few things. But he knows Matt. He's planning a battle. And she's like, a battle? That won't work. And he's like, oh, well, in that case, a war. And she's like, holy smokes. Anyway, that's where Matt exclaims, all right, you sure enough? 3,000? And he hears that, yeah, sure enough, around 3,000. It's like, good, that will do. And he gets up and starts making orders. And she gets a full-on chill over her. And she's like, and just before that, it's like, she gets a full-on chill. And she's like, he is a lion in the high plains. What sort of a man did I entangle myself with? End of that point of view.
Yeah.
I also highlighted that section.
The best sort of man. That's who.
Earlier, she says, she has this cool description of Matt. She goes, he was charming at times, even witty and amusing, but often a buffoon and always a rapscallion. I was thinking, oh yeah, that's pretty cool.
No buffoon.
That's the character description.
It's very apt. But then she goes right at the end, she goes, a buffoon? No. A lion stuffed into a horse stall might look like a peculiar joke, but a lion on the high plains was something very different. Toy was loose on the high plains now. She felt a chill. What sort of man had she entangled herself with? After all this time, she realized she had hardly a clue.
Yep.
Which is like a like she would never admit that to anyone, but to get a POV from her, for her to question everything she knows about Matt's like, yes, she had her fooled. She's starting to realize. Yeah, very cool shit. Joe, what did you have?
Dude, there was very, very thorough recap of everything. I don't really have much to add whatsoever. Just that, yes, I'm glad that, because I read this so long ago now as well. This little recap,
yes,
just making me happy. That's all. Just like Tuon's realization, like this is no queen's toy. Like this is a lion.
If you will.
In the Highlands.
Now, if you will recall Marlene's favorite moment that she submitted last week in the voice notes, I think is along these lines, and I had another one as well.
But now that's going to make a question, and now she's starting to, and you can see the way of her thinking. Like, okay, but why is he pulling a Ludra along? There must be a reason. Surely it can't be just for a beautiful fireworks. I mean, a demonic can make way better.
This final stretch, like where Matt is in charge of the band and they're doing all these guerrilla strikes, and like we're going into future chapters now, but like how that all culminates when Furicaredi and the Death Watch guards and the gardeners like arrive as well, and they realize, oh fuck, they've put a bounty on her head, and Caredi's like, well, no, this is, I'm sworn to protect this woman, and he and the people he brought fight, and they have this like, they're super outnumbered, and then they win that battle and stuff like. This final stretch of Tuon and Matt's courtship where she realizes all this stuff, it is so satisfying. And at the end, they're like, all right, cool. Well, you have to go with him. I'm going to go this way. I guess I'll see you later. But before they go, she says the words and their marriage is done. Like that courtship is finally big exclamation mark or full stop right at the end. And this is her part now. Like Matt's like, he's doing all the hard work, but it's hard for him to get past his rapscallion sort of,
reputation.
He's true Matt, not General Matt. The General Matt is all his personalities, but when he steps into that role as a commander, as the leader of the band,
natural.
He is like bang, 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 bang. When he doesn't need to do that stuff, he falls straight back into, hey, I'm Matt, let's find a badger.
To the extent that the Empress of the Sean-Chan is like, okay, yes, I'll marry this man.
Impressed.
Yeah. Well done.
And scared.
Okay, I've got a couple crumbs here before we carry on to the next POV. Vocabulary alert, prevarication. Did you guys know what that meant?
Yeah,
I looked it up and I've forgotten.
It is the use of ambiguous or evasive language or behavior to conceal the truth or avoid committing oneself. So Tuon's thinking about Matt's prevarication about not telling her that he knows the Dragon Reborn.
Yeah, that's also something you keep to yourself. You don't go blurting that around.
Just go banding that about. No. When Talmanes arrives here, like Matt's like, "Who's looking after the band?" He's like, "I left Estienne in charge." Matt's like, "What? The man is a fool."
Yeah.
Do you remember who Estienne is?
Mm-hmm.
Isn't he one of those
One of the guys
Terran
from
lords?
Terran Lords. It was
Card players?
drunken.
Yes. He was drunk. He was the one sort of making allusions to like how nobles should be able to just have commoner mistresses and stuff. Like he should just be able to marry whatever maids he wants, or like have his way with whatever.
Yeah.
And like Idorian, who's one of the other lords in Matt's army, he sort of like quietens Estienne down. Estienne's also the son of Torian, who is the old man that's sort of grabbing what's first of Mayene? What's her name?
Berylane.
Berylane. Lord Torian is the one that's sort of like grabbing Berylane by the elbow when Perrin is walking past her in the Stone of Tyr when we first meet her. Like Torian is also a bit of a shit. So Matt's point about Estienne being a fool is true, but Talmanes is not an idiot. He knows that Estienne will listen to Dared, who's the sort of hardened commoner guy that sort of worked his way up the ranks and was with the band from the beginning when Matt formed it. And he knows that the other lords will sort of also, Idorian and whoever the other guy is.
Yeah, it also didn't dive into the commanding. Matt's like, sorry, there's that many people, that makes him a captain, that puts him in command. Can't remember who the battles hardened guy was because he's not nobility. But yes, this is going to happen. Forget it.
Yes.
Like, I don't draw those lines.
Tuon makes an observation here. Just before the horses get nervous, she says, "In the distance, a lion coughed." Is she being literal?
I think she's being literal.
Are there lions here?
There are lions in the world. There's wolves, there's lions. Remember, lions are being hunted by the Aiel. So who was it?
Yeah, in the waste.
In the waste, but maybe in the hills. Maybe in the mountains.
Yeah, they're in the wilds.
Yeah, I mean, they are. It's just people talk about wolves and stuff all the time. You don't hear a lot of people mention lions.
Rand, in my chapter, Rand mentions all the farmers and the little like sheep herds that he's walking through, and he's in northern. Where is he? Altara? No, Murrundi. Shit, I forget. I've written it down. And all the little boys are carrying bows and slingshots and stuff because there are wolves and lions about. So it's like all of a sudden, there's wolves everywhere. By the way, we forgot to mention it. The first 10 books.
Okay, cool. All right, so an actual lion coughs, and then like the horses are all unsettled, and she observes Matt just like lean over and whisper in the horse's ear, and the horse calms down. She's like, "Oh, he wasn't lying about that. Like he actually is very good." Just there's like there's a raft of these little moments. Where it's like,
so many.
Cool, yeah. Okay, Matt. Okay.
I also think that when they refer to lion here, because of all the animals that we come across thus far, for the most of it seems to be sort of North American related. You've got bears, you've got wolves. So lion I would think is more something like a mountain lion, and not specifically like a Barbary lion from the plains of the Serengeti or something. Yeah, cougar, puma.
Okay, what else did I have here? The Rand schools paying dividends here. Thanks for that, Super Crank. That's cool. Plays a big part in Matt's upcoming chapters. When Tuon asks Selusha with her finger signals, who is this band they speak of? I like to imagine that Tuon is thinking of a troupe of musicians.
Yes.
Probably not, but I like to think that she is. I've read her description of him. He was charming at times, even witty and amusing, but often a buffoon and always a rapscallion. But then she also thinks of Matt that he proved himself to be, quote, a formidable man in Madiran, and how he handled himself in that street fight with one peculiar weakness that she found strangely endearing, like the fact that he didn't want to kill a woman. Now, Tuon is permanently surrounded by assassins, Death Watch guards, and even her maid is like a trained killer. So for her to think of Matt as a formidable man is quite a compliment. It's not just like, oh, he can handle himself. It's like, oh no, he is deadly, which we know to be true. I love how Tuon sees how the men look at Matt when he comes back and thinks it must be the result of a leader with a slack hand at discipline. You mentioned this, Phil, because men that are so fond of their leader are probably fond of him because he doesn't have Yeah, because he just lets them do. But when he does that thing, all he does is he raises his spear, and they all fall quiet. She's like, "Oh no, not slack with discipline at all." Which is just another one of those long string of realizations that she has. And then there's also this one mention that's like, you kind of me. RJ is making me want to like Tuon in this specific instance, because there's a moment where Lopen brings them tea, and the tea is brewed precisely to Tuon's liking, and she even mentions it's honeyed to perfection. Like it's exactly, because he's served a tea now like a whole bunch of times, and then he makes a bow, and she thinks how he doesn't bow quite deeply enough. But then she thinks, but the man did try. Like, can you imagine any of the blood or any of the Seanchan thinking that about a servant? Oh, he's not bowing low enough, but he did. Oh, shame. He is trying.
A for effort.
Nobody says or thinks that, So, like, that's huge to hear that from Tuon, like for her to sort of like allow Lopen to like not bow as deeply. Which I think conveys a lot with the small
ability playing off and spinning off and pulling it.
It's just being around these two rivers people.
Exactly. Yeah. Just this group of people, right? Like
like Avienda's
softening
as well around Elaine in Andor. She's softening up a lot. Like you just spend a lot of time with these characters, and you're like, oh, okay, I see your culture is different. Like in the beginning, it was shockingly different, but now I see the benefits of it, and not all of it. Yeah, I still want to collar every Marith Daman on this godforsaken continent.
Yeah. Let's see how we feel about
But the servant is trying.
This slave, this property. Okay, well, that's it from me. We haven't even finished your chapter yet.
No, carry on.
Okay, Perrin's point of view, and we are at the aqueduct pumps, windmills, where they are starting their plan. It's super early. It's dark, solidly dark out there, but Perrin can see well enough to see that it's clear, and he lets Mishima know, yes, it's all good. During his wait period, though, he reaches out and speaks to Snowy Dawn, and lets the wolf know that 2 days from now, through method of image communication, but the wolf is like, yes, come on, we'll hunt tomorrow, but now I need to sleep. I'm old. I still have aches and injuries to tend to. He sees the scout, which is Cole, and some maidens signal to him. Mishima still don't understand how he can see anything, because he can't see a bloody thing in this dark, but has gotten used to looking at Perrin, whose eyes glow in the dark now. Still blown away, this vision, is what I'm saying. The orders issued for the carts to move, and these carts are being dragged down, and they all move down to the squealing windmills, which is quite loud. Maintenance has been slack since the Shido burnt down half of the town. Gaul informs, and the maidens inform Perrin that there's no sign of anyone since the last time they've been there to scout it. The snow added footsteps in the dust that was there, very thorough in their inspection, and they start removing 2 by 5 feet panels of stone that cover the aqueduct where these windmills is pumping and forcing water through to run down to the town. They start emptying the bag of fork root, or rather, Perrin tells Mishima in there, or the girl directly, who is with Mishima, and she looks at Mishima and he nods, yes, do what he says, and the little grainy pebbles is thrown into the water, and they start flowing down the aqueduct, which is about half full of water. It's not like a pipe of water, it's a channel of water with a lid on, one would call it. Anyway, Light sent that the physics of how tea works out for Perrin, with all of these bags of fork root that's being poured in there, that's going to fill up the cistern that's right at the edge of town. Sionid approaches, and when Mishima sees Sionid, he makes the sign to ward against evil, because it's a unleashed Marath Damane that is now approaching him. So there's a really uneasy truce between a lot of people at the moment. Nevertheless, Perrin keeps control of all of that. The ones now who's ready to go, ready themselves, they're going to go for a bit of a dip with the tea. I hope Sionid is not going to take any deep gulps of water in a swim down to the cistern. But it is Sionid and 3 warders. Elias is next, gets into there, cuts a few jokes with Perrin about, cold water, and I should have cut my beard, and woman. And Perrin thinks to himself it's not really the time for jokes, but I'll allow it. Delanville, but before he gets to going for a dip, Perrin grabs him by the arm and says, listen, no heroics, don't be a hothead. The very reason why some other dumbass isn't there, named Aram. 20 of the Shaf'ahil are all very happy to be part of this, and they file into the water. And then 50 of the 2 Rivers longbowmen, all with bows and bowstrings taken off, kept nice and dry in a pocket, so that they can use them when they get them inside, and 2 quivers of arrows each. And then lastly, Gaul, who is an army in himself. That says, no, he's leaving Perrin now, he needs to be there. But also that there's a side story to this. The Maidens of the Spears have been rousing him up, saying, no, they're going to get to Bane first, or Chiad. Which one is it now?
Chiad. Chiad, yeah.
Chiad. Anyway, and there's still Handtalk flicking behind him, but any scouting and anything that needs to be done for Perrin can be handled by the Maidens, and off he goes for a swim. Large man just gets in, just able to get in there. One of the 2 Riversmen also said, like, whoa, this is a slimy little thing. The last little bit is an incline that they're going to go down, so they're going super tubing. And I was like, nice, a little bit of a super tube ride on a slimy rock aqueduct. Mishima has been thanked by Perrin, and then he offers to grease the squeaky windmills. It sounds like they might just break. And Perrin's like, yeah, but what if they come back? And they wonder all of a sudden who greased these windmills. And that's where he looks at him and says, like, the Banner General was right about you. And Perrin asks, right about me in what way? It's like, no, I'll leave that for you to discuss with her. He makes his way, and they head back to their camp. Perrin could not put their camps close to each other, which would have been super convenient. Therefore, now they've got to make multiple gateways to get to the certain camps, but he thought that would probably keep the peace a lot better, because she's also got, remember, you got Masima, Madman, in the mix around there as well. Grady is sitting and waiting. He's decided that he'll rather tie off the gateways now, as it's just too strenuous for them to do all of this gatewaying around. Remember, they were gatewaying all the way to the stores to get the stuff, and then had to keep it open for a long time for all of these carts to get through. So there's a lot of moving. He at least has 2 days that he needs to rest, because Perrin is going to need him annealed, and says, look, you don't even, when you get them back to their camp, you can stay there with them. And he's like, no, thank you. They make him get some skin crawls, because he had an opportunity to speak to some of these Damane and said, oh, wouldn't you like if we unclipped that leash for you? Who ran to their trainers crying and needed soothing and patting. So he's like, I'd rather stay somewhere else, which makes sense. But Perrin reminds him, that's not our battle. Leave them be. They can sort that out later. We've got one objective, and I'm just objective driven. Faile. That's it. So Perrin gets home. He gateways back to his camp, and just as he thinks he's going to have a nice hot cuppa and hit the bed, he sees there's a Raken in the camp, and clearly a messenger has come. As he's getting to his tent, Yesup greets him. Bearer Babe is back. She just had a lick of a brush, but is well dressed as always, and says no, the Banner General is in Perrin's tent, and she thought it best that they entertain her over there. Now, if you don't remember, that's Tylee Kiergan, and she brought some news. But first, Lenny wants to know, before any of you do your important general business stuff, can I just go to bed now? And Tylee's like, ooh, this is not the way that servants and people deal. And yes, she said she can go, but Aram is consistent. Now I can have another flagon of wine. Lenny puts him in his place and said, you have had quite enough. So obviously he's been getting on the piss because he wasn't allowed to go along, sulking there in his seat. To that, he throws his goblet down and says, well, I'll go get some drink by Massima. And that's like 5 red flags that should pop up.
He doesn't say Massima. He says he'll go elsewhere, and Perrin thinks to himself, probably Massima. Massima's camp.
Yes. So Brienne stays behind to do said filling of goblets, and Lenny makes her way. So we've got Baller in the tent, we've got Brienne, we've got Perrin, Tylee, Berylane, and her Aes Sedai Anura. So Scouts has been out doing a little bit of scouting with their Rakan, as they do, and they spotted a army of 7,000 white cloaks moving. And apparently these are deserters. So out comes all of the stories now. Bulwer has got some insight, and he leads in, yes, Pedro Denal is dead, and he was replaced by Amon Valda, and apparently Gallard de Mandred killed Valda, and they're standing orders to have him and all of his men killed. So they are moving and away. Bulwer at this pipes in and says, leave him be. I think he did a good thing. This could be he's planting that seeds already, and although Perrin had to prompt him to it, and then says he has nothing more that he can add to this conversation, he'll leave them to talk. But Tylee wants to speak to Perrin alone, which Berylane accepts, and she wants to clear out the room for them, but Perrin declines that. It's like, no, whatever you can say to me, you can say in front of these two. There's no keeping secrets over here. There are 2 other large parties moving to Malden that might arrive in the next 2 days. And as that discussion starts, without any information further, fog ripples and a full-on distortion of space-time happens. Everyone is actually afraid. There's fear. Even Anura is shocked by this. She does not know what the heck is happening here. And Perrin's like, oh, well, whatever it is, it's over now. Let's carry on. Keep on doing what we're doing. Don't get distracted. And that's the end of that point of view. And we jump to his lovely wife, Faile. He's having a tough day. Savannah has taken to having 2 baths a day now and flogging the guy Shane, who do not have a water temperature as she likes it. 2 spas a day. Roland is with her as she's hauling water, and trying to entice her into a kissing game that she's been declining over a very long time. But she cites Galena and tells Roland to get going, and Galena is finally allowed to wear clothes again with a nice red bow in her hair. I mean, that suits her Red Archer personality, so she got some hair back at least. Anyway, she spots Faile, makes her way to her, and she wants to know where it is. Quite demanding, and we know what she's looking for. Has she found that ivory rod? But first, Faile wants to know if she will say in plain words, yes, I will take you and your people along. And anyway, Galena has none of it. She slaps her, but Faile reacts and slaps her doubly hard back and prepares and braces for a power whipping that doesn't come. Trigger should think about that. Either which ways, Galena straight out lies to her and says yes, the whole thing, and then sets the location of the handover. It will be in the burnt part of the town. So tomorrow morning, bright and early, meet me there, and I will have a red scarf signaling the place of the meeting. And that is the end of that chapter and point of view.
Joseph, what do you got?
Meet me tomorrow morning at the most trap-looking location I could find. Yes.
If only she had Admiral Akbar in her party.
It's just that woman.
Oh, she is the
But
worst, eh?
she gets her comeuppance very, very soon.
Oh,
That's why I don't say anything right now, because
Yeah, just forget
her
it.
being shaven and stripped naked of everything but her gold belt and bracelet, whatever she was wearing for the last couple of weeks,
Collar.
is not nearly as
By the end of this book,
tough
she's
as what's
gone.
coming.
Yeah.
Never to be seen or
end of
heard
good
from
luck.
again.
Nope. Bye-bye.
We have to wait
Can't
until the
wait.
prologue of the next book to say goodbye to Massima. I thought he was gone by the end of this book, but so many people are gone by the end of this book that
Yes.
there was no space for another one.
Yeah.
And just old Aram, like what emotionally disturbed, drunk tinker with a sword. Like that's
Yes.
a combo you don't want to have. Hanging
Yes.
out with the Dragon Sworn, with Massima's. Jesus.
What a nothing burger
the
he
recipe
turned
for
out to
this.
be as well.
Yeah.
Just a distraction. Anything else, Joe, before we carry on to your chapter? I've got some crumbs to mop up here.
Mop 'em up.
Mop away. I had a chuckle at the fact that Mishima had a fright the first time he saw Perrin's eyes glowing in the dark, as they were now. And Billy, you were saying he'd gotten used to it, but Perrin thinks like he jumped out of his skin or something the first time he saw it, which is a cool image to have, this like stoic Sean Chan soldier. When Perrin notices the 52 Rivers men getting into the aqueduct, he thinks every single man in the Two Rivers camp volunteered for the mission. So he had to make them draw straws to see who was actually going to go. Like he couldn't pick anyone and they couldn't pick among themselves. They all wanted to go. So he's like, no, okay, cool. Draw straws. That's the only fair way to do it. And also the Chafail that are going on the mission, he shakes every one of them, like he shakes their hands, every single one of them as they pass him and get in there. And Salande also, she actually says thank you to Perrin for letting them be a part of this. Like in the past, Perrin, has always thought of them as fools and they've felt entitled. Oh, Faile is our lord. We're our lady. We don't answer to you. But their whole relationship has sort of come a long way now as well, where Salande is saying, thank you for letting us be a part of this. And Perrin's like, don't let her down, and sort of accepting of their help as well, which is cool. I like them to be in harmony.
I think
rather
maybe
than at odds.
Baller has had a hand in that, keeping them occupied and giving them little missions. They haven't had time to
Bit
stew.
more direction. Yes.
Yeah, they have. They've got some training now, and they can see a bigger picture. And Perrin as well. Like he's come to.
He's also
'cause,
matured.
I mean,
big
probably because of what Baller's been doing with them. Like how useful, because he said they've even been
parts,
useful
certainly.
in previous chapters. Yeah, so it's good. Shame. I'm going to also start accepting them now as not fools.
time. Yeah, me too. Me too.
That's so nice of you guys. I'm so happy you finally come on board.
And you've been on this raft this whole time.
I've never said a single bad thing about them. They're playing Aiel. They're nobles with no... I mean, the world is going to war.
I don't know.
You can't
We
sit in your
record this
castle.
podcast, right? I feel like we had to
Someone
go
needs
back.
to go back. Listeners, I'd like you, especially those who are, I can't talk to the ones who are a few episodes back, but yeah, we need some evidence. You'll get 100 podcast points if you can prove that Billy has
Jody,
said
I
some
am
shit
so
about them.
far ahead in the podcast points roster that I can have a penalty of 100 podcast points. I'm that far ahead.
All right, you heard it. Billy will give you his own podcast points.
Oh, yeah. Just send him your bank details. This chapter and Perrin's whole relationship with Mishima and Tylee Kurgan is also kind of making me like the Sean Chan a bit. Like the fact that Mishima's like, the Banner General was right about you. And Perrin goes, oh, what was it? And he's like, oh, you'll have to ask her yourself. And I love just how they respect Perrin. And like you said, Vil, when Perrin gives that Seanchan soldier a direct order, she looks at Mishima, and Mishima's like, yes, do as Lord Perrin commands, like, chop chop now, don't fanny about.
What are you
like,
looking at me
he
for?
says. Yeah. Which is more points in the column for them. I laughed at the fact that Brienne, obviously, she seems to hate Berelain, still from the rumors of what like Berelain had done with Perrin on the night of Faile's disappearance, which just shows that Brienne is loyal to Faile, even though she is sort of like a bit of a recalcitrant, because she used to be a noble herself, and now she's just accepted this fate as a commoner with Lamgwin, but just hates Berelain.
Lamgwin just suffers in silence. Yes, dear.
Yes. It's cool here to have parents sent, detection powers 100% confirm Berelain's true motivations. All she has now is resolve. She seems to have given up on Perrin and trying to steal him away from Faile. He notices that the only thing he can sense from her now is steely resolve to retain or to regather Faile and to rescue her and get her back. And then the ripples that they sense here. Okay. These are the ones that we had previously said people speculate could be a bale scream, is what they call it, like the after effects of a massive balefire event. There is a lot of mention of Aradoman in this book, and like Rand sending Aiel there, Avienda having to go to Aradoman. There's a couple of things pointing in that direction. So I think Rand's attack on Natrin's Barrow, which is Grendol's fortress in Aradoman, that destroys the entire building with balefire in one single fell swoop. A lot of people think that these ripples that we're seeing here are the after effect because they pass backwards in time from the balefire event. So that's what people think this is. But did Perrin experience something like this at the beginning of the book as well? Remember Faile in the beginning of the book when she's just like lugging water and stuff? She senses the ripple thing, and I feel like Perrin felt it then as well. But I feel like it was when you were standing up on the ridge and they were sort of like observing Malden down, like when, he met up with Sulin and he had the guards take off their armor.
From Dragon Mount it started, there was the sulfuric wind gust.
You had this thing about the sulfuric wind and what Faile and Perrin were experiencing, but maybe what Perrin experienced was the sulfuric wind and what Faile experienced was the Bale scream, because the two things have very different characteristics, right? The sulfuric wind, if you remember, the rebel camp, wagons were being blown over. People that were lying on the floor had their blankets blown off. It's a literal wind.
But now it just sort of resonated, clicked now in with me, because remember, what Perrin is doing at that point in time is 2 days before where Faile is now in her story when we jump into her point of view. Because it's 2 days till it happens when they make their moves. Because the D's got to soak.
I can't remember. It's been too long since I've read it.
The D's got to soak.
So are you saying here what's happening, what Perrin experiences in this chapter is what Faile experienced in the beginning of the book?
Yes,
it's the same ripple.
Yeah, a couple, not, well.
Okay.
Yeah, perhaps. Maybe that is one of those things that tie up where they are at what point in time.
Yeah.
Specifically to the two of them, because this is the thing that I was just a bit confused about. Like they putting it in there because it's got to seep for 2 days, hoping that it will be strong enough. Multiple points of like in 2 days to the wolves, to the sun and like it will take 2 days and then the attack happens. Are these two rivermen, the whole army that is now treading down the water channel, going to sit in the water for 2 days?
At least in the town, like they're going to hide out in the town, because Perrin, from the intel he's gathered, the town is basically empty.
Yes, okay.
So there was a fortress. They were supposed to, like, once they get into the town and they've secured Faile, they were supposed to stay in the fortress, close the gates, and then just defend the fortress. That's why there's later, I think there's mention when Faile goes into town, she takes notice of the hinges on the gates and that they've been rusted and that you wouldn't be able to close the gates anymore, which I think is supposed to sort of show you, oops, Perrin's plan might be difficult because suddenly the gates can't be closed anymore. They can't hold off the fortress anymore. I don't know. It's they've got food with them. There's mention of the food that they've taken. So they've taken provisions. So
they're taking
maybe
provisions.
that's exactly
They
it.
got. I mean,
They're gonna
the
camp
idea
out
that they're going to defend a fortress makes sense to having the longbowmen there to be up on the walls and defend that section. Okay, so they're not going to, because one part of my brain is they're going to hide out in this water until it's go time. And I'm like, no,
For
it's
2
days. You're not going to hide out in water for 2 days. You're going to drown, because I also think the cistern would be a big thing of water. It's not going to be just like ankle deep where you stand in. Carry on.
Okay.
Yeah, those ripples confuse me as well. I didn't realize that, like, for me, they're so far apart in the books, it never occurred to me it was the same ripple.
Yeah. And also what threw me off is that Perrin, I'll have to obviously go do a callback now to see exactly what Perrin's experience was at the beginning of the book, because we thought that those two events were tied together, but maybe not. Maybe Perrin experienced the sulfuric wind and Faile experienced
and her
the Bale
story is
Stream.
just so much forward.
Yeah.
See, we don't have her tying knots to understand
to correlate.
to correlate it. Perrin has that knot tying, and then there's also like some days like the big jump or whatever, and
she's
the tying
just
of
flirting with giant Ailman.
Now, Faile doesn't have any knots, but she has a shit ton of people just swearing allegiance to her. Guys, Shane left, right, and center. 20 of them that morning. You know, like it's happening in tens. You know, like it is. Does she say a number? I feel like in my head I've got a number of like around 100 guys Shane have already sworn
I think it is
fealty to her.
It's a lot.
Yeah. And then I also just I'm so bummed every time Faile thinks, oh well, you know, I said I can't lie, so it must be true.
Yeah.
Yes, but Black Archer can lie. And they do, and they are, and she is to you right now.
And again, good job by the Black Archer keeping it quiet so that the common person on the streets never, well, I'll say common person, the nobility
heir to the throne
is not aware of this, which says a lot. Like, if there's,
been effective.
I mean, in the circles of power, news will spread, but it's not spreading.
They've definitely been effective. Okay, what was my last point here? Oh, like that Faile desperately does not want to take the Roland avenue with his quote-unquote kissing games, but you get the idea that she would absolutely do that if that's what it took. But we won't have to read about Roland for too much longer.
No.
All right then, let's read about something else completely. Surprise chapter. A big old showdown in chapter 27 called A Plain Wooden Box. Joe, can you give us a nice plain summary, please?
No, that's all right. I will.
I don't like this continuous judgment of my throwaway segues.
It's because you've set such a high bar for yourself, Moritz.
That's not it. That cannot be it.
That is it. That is exactly it.
It's my own little dad jokes within the podcast.
We are with Rand, Min, Nynaeve, and Cadswain wearing all their jewelry. Olivia, Bashir, and his Saldaean cavalry. Not all of it, just some of it. The maidens, led by Nandera, Loghain, and the Ashaman with their bonded Aes Sedai with their bonded Ashaman, and even some unbonded Aes Sedai and their warders waiting on a wooded hill in Altara, close to the southern border of Andor. A not insignificant force. In size, perhaps, but in strength. Dude, do not fuck with these guys.
No.
And then she does. He thinks of Elaine, looking up north to Andor, and he can feel her faintly through the bond, and his bond with Avienda is fainter still, as she was in Arid Daman with the Aiel that he sent there. He was not expecting them to take her with as well, but there they are. She must continue her training. They are on their way to the meeting with the supposed daughter of the Nine Moons. And he is dressed to kill in many more ways than that one. Crown of swords on his head, green silk coat embroidered in gold, dragon belt buckle. I think that's so crass, you know.
Pretty ostentatious.
Yes, and the Sean-Chan spear carved with the dragons by the maidens, he now calls the Dragon Scepter. So he is quite the sight. Everyone suspects a trap, even Luz, Rand too, but it's worth the risk in his opinion. Luz has been very chatty again lately, sometimes even sounding sane, like having full-on normal conversations. With the midday sun now overhead, the time has come for the meeting. So they leave that little wooded hilltop, their route to Lady Deirdre's manor house. The chosen venue for this meeting takes them through farms, fields, pastures where the locals are working. Nothing out of the ordinary. That's where we see those little kids with their slingshots and their bow and arrows for the lions and whatnot that are in the hills around there. Rand feels Logain, Narishma, and there's old Sandomir, he's here, embrace the source. Rand does not. He's still fearful that Luz will try to seize control the moment he opens himself up, so he's just holding back for a while. Rand tells Cadsuane and Nynaeve to embrace the source, but they've been holding it since the hilltop. Their ability to mask the power has taken away his ability to sense a woman channeling, so no more tingles for you. The Ashaman are working on it, though, trying to figure out Nasel's weave that she came up with to sense a man channeling. We saw her use it in the Rebel Hall last time. So Narishma brought back that information, and they've been trying to figure out how to make a male version of that so they can sense the women channeling, but so far, no luck. After a few miles, they reach the manor house, if you can call it that. Old Fancy Pants Rand has now seen many a manor house, and this one is weak. It's basically a glorified farmhouse. Halfway down the track leading to the house, the doors open, and 3 leashed pairs of Suldam and Damane walk out. Then, a very convincing-looking Tuon walks out to wait in the doorway. Short, dark, bald, the works. They dismount, and Nynaeve lets Rand know that one of them is channeling. She can't tell which one, as they must be masking their ability and inverting the weave. And she didn't know that the Seanchan knew how to do that. They don't. Rand stalls a bit, while he asks Nynaeve to try and find out which one is it that is channeling. Cadsuane tells him that they can't figure out exactly who it is, because Nynaeve and her are both using their special to Angriel. But they can do something about it when they get closer. So, closer it is. Rand tells Min to stay behind him, and they continue on foot. When they get within 10 feet or so, Tuon flickers, and for an instant she's a tall woman dressed in black and not bald, before she appears as Tuon again. She flickers again, and Rand/Luz recognizes her face. Semirog, he says. She reaches for the source, or he reaches for the source, and for once, and Luz and him battle for control. Or they don't in this case. What did I write here?
No, they do. They do.
That's why later on they don't.
Rand can't use. Rand can't use the one power, and he can't duck out of the way because Min is right behind him.
Yeah. So Semirog flicks a fireball at him. She just little flick of the fingers, and he can't dodge it because Min is right behind him. So he raises his Draga scepter in defense. Not that that's going to do anything, but hey, it's reflexive. He's face down in the mud. When he comes to, he's all dazed and confused. He lifts his head and he sees the remains of the scepter burning on the ground, just there, simmering in the mud. He feels both Saidin and Saidar being channeled now. Now he feels it. And memory starts to return to him in some sense. The manor house, Semirog. So he tries to push himself up on his hands, but he only has hand now. His left arm ending in a mangled, blackened stump, giving off thin streams of smoke. It's a very visceral image. Min thinks, and he tries to get up. And then she's there, at his side, trying to shield him with her own body. He reaches for Saidin, and for once, Luz lets him have it. He's like, that's yours now, buddy. I'll sit out on this one. With the power in him, he has the strength to stand. Whatever battle has transpired while he was on the ground is over. Semirog and the remaining Damane are shielded and wrapped in flows of air. Semirog has one of Min's daggers sticking out of her shoulder, but her face shows only contempt. Narishma and Sandomir are a bit bloodied. Sandomir, slight wound of a bone jutting out of his arm, until Nynaeve walks over. Pulls on his arm, jerks on his arm and guides the bone back into place and healing it. Like I dig how she puts her hand over the break, like she's localized healing. She's so far ahead of everyone else. Like no more of that old school grabbing the head heel haul stuff. Moments later, Sando's flexing his arm and wiggling his fingers and thanking Nynaeve. He's like, sweet, good job. Logain, Nynaeve, and Cadsuane are untouched. The coolest of everyone. Gateways now open, and mounted Ashaman and Aes Sedai and warders and veiled maidens and Bashir and his horsemen just spill out everywhere. So somewhere during this attack, someone got a signal off to say, hey, we need backup. It was not Rand. Bashir taking charge immediately. He's forming the Lancers. He sends 2 men into the house to search because he's afraid now that she might have an army at her back. This Tuon, this daughter of the Nine Moons, he needs to prepare and watch their backs and set up a perimeter. While the Aes Sedai run to check on their bonded Ashaman, Nynaeve rushes to Rand's aid. She tells him she could do her best, but she can't grow his hand back. He just holds out his stump for her. He's like, yeah, I know that. When she's done, Smooth Skin covers the stump, his golden dragon ending abruptly halfway through its own head. Nynaeve is devastated by Rand's wound. She's just constantly apologizing, just saying sorry, how sorry she is about all of this. And she delves him for other injuries. His eyes need some work, but she'll have to study them first before she can work on them, and she might do more damage. It's like, yeah, a big explosion happened in his face. Rand is just emotionless. So Bashir arrives, dismounts, sees Rand's hand and goes, meh, I've seen worse. And Rand replies, me too. He's just bummed he'll have to relearn the sword now, as most of the forms require 2 hands. Like, I'll have to relearn the sword. I just had it, man. Nynaeve is worried that Rand is in shock. Like, he's just so calm, and suggests, like, you should go lie down. It's like, he's not going to lie down now in front of Semirog. No, excuse me a minute, I need to go take a nap. Min, through the bond, confirms that he's not in shock. Like, to him, there's nothing he can do about it. It's done. So, move on. Can't grow his hand back. He's ready to, like, the next thing. He doesn't have time to dwell on it, and he has shit to do.
Yeah.
The wounds in Rand's side have opened again, so Nynaeve focuses on those instead, but has just as much success as she's had any time before. Rand eventually just pushing her hands away gently and saying, enough, like, thank you, you've done what you can. Bashir chimes up, like, who's the tall chick? Rand explains briefly, Semirog, hey, wow. He's like, whoa, Semirog, I know that name. One of the Suldam overhears and corrects them. She's like, that's Aneth Dorje, not what you just called her. Semirog tells her to shut up. But in the Seanchan hierarchy, a truth speaker cannot give a Suldam orders. So she's like, don't tell me what to do. Blissfully unaware just of what is transpiring around her. Catswain wants to know how Rand knows that she's Semirog. Luckily, Semirog steps in to answer before Rand has to scramble for some semi-sane answer. Well, maybe not luckily, because of what she says next. She says that he's insane. This is Semirog talking to Catswain. Rand's insane. She explains that some people hear voices in their heads. Rand is hearing Luz Theron, like Moghedian. I think it was Grandal. Who was it that confirmed it? I didn't write that down. That she used to have... It's Grandal, yeah. She used to have, more skill with mad people and like mental disorders and whatnot. So she doesn't know the exact ins and outs of it. That's how he knows who she is, because he's got Luz's memories. But what's worse is that most of the time those voices aren't real, but in Rand's case, it's not. And in those rare cases, the descent into madness can be abrupt. So she's just cat's out of the bag, y'all. Just spilled all of Rand's inner brain workings to everybody in front of him, and everybody's kind of looking at Rand like, oh wait, are you insane? Have we been
Everyone's
working,
thinking
like,
back
around?
to like instances where he wasn't paying attention to what they were saying, or it sounded like he was talking to someone else, or he was just
arguing with himself.
So
this is a huge moment.
Yeah, huge moment. He only feels numbness from Min through the bond, and like he says, okay, he'll break now if she turns away from him. But the numbness turns into compassion and determination and love. Of course it did, silly. She's not going anywhere. Catswain approaches Semirog, cool as a cucumber. She thinks it's strange that the woman would not even deny being a Forsaken. She's actually giving evidence against herself. And Semirog's like, proudly, why would I deny who I am? I am Semirog. Freaking the Suldam and the Damane out. Because even at that low level, they know that name. And they fear it. Catswain introduces herself. A lot of that going around. Catswain introduces herself to Semirog, like, hey, I'm Catswain. And I look forward to this long, lovely chats we're going to have with you. Semirog is unfazed. the Suldam were never in on it. Like, the vomiting on themselves kind of proves it. They genuinely believed her disguise. They thought she was Tuon. To them, this was a great honor that they got chosen to come with. They tell them that she brought them through a gateway straight from Ibudar, this magical hole in the air. So that relieves Bashir's concerns that there might be an army at her back. Like, oh no, she came just with these people through a gateway. So Rand orders the return of the Suldam and the Damane to Ibudar. He's like, oh, cool, send them through a gateway right back. He won't do anything to jeopardize a truce, even after this attack with the Seanchan and the real daughter of the Nine Moons. No matter how much it pisses Cadsuane and Nynaeve off, and it does piss them off. But even just hearing Nynaeve floating the idea of freeing them sends the Damane into fits of tears, begging to be saved. So just sickening all round. The two men Bashir sent to search the house report back with a plain wooden box. They also found bloodstains, so we probably won't be hearing from the Lady Deirdre and her retinue anytime soon. Inside the box, they find male and female Adam, like chains and links, like a whole bunch of stuff. She came prepared.
BDSM kit.
Yeah. Nynaeve tells Rand that, like, because she goes, like, she notices immediately. Rand's like, hey, you know this stuff? What this is? And she's like, yeah, that's a male Adam. Because he reaches in and takes out the male one. And she's like, oh, man, we told Aegeana to throw that into the ocean last time we saw them. And she's betrayed us. And I can't wait to see that reunion. I haven't read about it yet.
Yeah.
I'd like to see how that goes. So... yeah, she's like, she really thought, like Semirog really thought that she could just walk in here and overpower us all and capture us all and collar us all. Men, women, doesn't matter. Kill the rest.
Sounds about right.
She doesn't have enough, Adam for everyone, so she'll just have to kill the rest. Like, seriously. Rand tells Nynaeve then to tie off the shields on the Damane so that they dissipate in a few hours and open a gateway and send them back to Ibudar. The lead Suldam asks, I'm paraphrasing, yeah, who the fuck do you think you are, anyway, to ask for a meeting with the High Lady Tuon, And Rand tells her, my name is Rand al'Thor. I am the Dragon Reborn. And quote from the book, if they had wept at hearing Semirog's name, they wailed at hearing his.
So good.
Damn Skippy. That's Semirog, I'm the Dragon Reborn. The Suldam's like, wait, what? That's not Tuon? It's their worlds are turned upside down. We changed POVs here. I don't know if you guys want to take a break and interject anything.
Okay, cool. Yeah, let's deal with Rand quickly because then it's a change of tone when we go back to Matt.
Yeah,
Matt
and
times.
we'll hop over to Matt.
Yeah. Vil, did you have anything you wanted to say about the showdown with Semirog?
Exactly what we expected, a massive trap. But huge hubris. Like, such hubris of her. Like,
I know.
I've got this, and Rand saying, okay, Cadsuane, Nynaeve, you guys can embrace the source now. They're like, lol, we've been waiting. We are like all G'd up already, trinkets floating and glowing and all the rest. Yeah.
It's Luz that tells Rand first, this could be a trap. And then Nandera says it, and Olivia agrees. Then Bashir says it, and then later Rand notes this himself. He goes, it does smell like a trap. Like, so many people say it.
Yeah.
Well, the
but
good
he
thing
felt
is
confident
that
enough that he could spring it.
they didn't have that hubris in them, and they were ready for
They were ready.
the moment.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, if Rand had better cricketing skills, he might have saved the hand. But, yeah.
It sucks that Luz was like also scrambling for the one power because Rand would have had a shield up or something.
Yeah.
Quick as a flash.
Yeah, but he
right?
has to fulfill the prophecy.
Mm.
Yeah,
Had
he's
to
going to
come.
lose a hand.
Yeah. Rand thinks to himself at the beginning, was Elaine watching the rain in Camelin? Yeah, she was getting drenched by it and everyone was commenting on it too.
Yes. She's had enough of that goddamn rain.
He thinks to himself, well, at least Elaine is safe behind Camelin's walls.
Not really.
Not so much. Not if the next
In the
couple
back of a
chapters have
cart.
anything to say about it.
Yeah. Being dragged away by Black Aja.
Yeah. Rand's Legion of the Dragon, like the Aiel from Camelin, must have traveled to Aradomon for Avienda to be there already.
Yeah.
So, like, that's what I mean, like lots of little mentions of Aradomon. I think we're going to be getting there pretty soon. And then it's interesting how when we started reading about Tuon and Gabrielle going to the Black Tower from the White Tower, it seemed so disconnected from the main story. And here they are with Rand at this critical moment in the story, right? Like Logain's there. So Tuon and Gabrielle, who we were reading about, like POVs from them, like entering the Black Tower and figuring out what to do. They're right in the thick of it now. I love that Narishma treats Logain like an equal, and I'm annoyed that this produces a scowl on Logain. You know, like, grow up, you egotistical lump. All the men around Rand have their dragon pins, all the Ashaman. Like, they all agree, like, some of them have been around from the very beginning. They definitely earned it, so they all have their pins now.
These are Dumai's Wells veterans.
Yeah.
You get a pin automatically if you survive that shit.
Faux show. Very cool how Nynaeve has learned how to use her Tarangriel, which tells her when a woman is channeling. It tells her one woman is channeling. And,
yes.
But she can sense that from the amount of power that's being channeled, it's not two women, it's only one. So like Nynaeve becoming quite an adept channeler. She also immediately knows, she's inverted her weave that hides the fact that she can channel. So like the paralysis net and like her own intuition is telling her all this information. She can relay that to Rand, which is really, really cool. She and Catswain, like you said, have paralysis nets.
Also eyes. She can't see the glow, so she knows that they're inverting it. They're hiding there.
Yes. That's if
someone's channeling, but I can't
channeling.
See. Yeah.
But I can't see anyone glowing. So it could be there could have been someone in the house channeling. But yeah. All of this information is undone by Rand's naive assumption that because the woman he is seeing looks like what he believes the daughter of the Nine Moons to look like, so this can't be a trap. They wouldn't risk her. So his logic is when he sees Tuon walk out, he's like, oh, this can't be a trap because they wouldn't risk the daughter of the Nine Moons, who he's never met, right? So it could even be like a Padme situation, right? It could just be another small, similar-looking woman posing as she fits the description, so this won't be a trap because they wouldn't risk the actual daughter of the because it's not the actual daughter of the Nine Moons, you idiot.
He's so desperate for a truce.
He is, and it showed a real lapse in judgment there. I'm just stoked that Min at least got a knife in Semirog. That's cool. Like, you know, this street urchin from Berlon stabs a Forsaken in the shoulder. That's pretty cool. I like that.
Should have thrown it in an eye.
Then a couple notes about Semirog. She had originally escaped high detention by frightening her guards so much that they smuggled her out. Like, that's just by talking to them, which is pretty incredible. And then he thinks, it must be him thinking as Luce Theron, the Lady of Pain was good at delivering on her promises. People had killed themselves by biting open their own veins when they learned just who had them captured.
Yeah.
Jesus
I'm checking out now.
That is some serious fear that
and reputation.
Then. Yeah.
Yes. So imagine Cabriana in the beginning of what book?
Ooh,
she was being captured.
Which book it was, but yeah, she was being tortured.
Cabriana and her warder by Semirog.
Mm-hmm. That's when we see Shala Haran, either the first time or one of the first times as well. What's wrong with Rand's eyes? Does he have arc eyes from this fireball?
Yeah, dude. A fireball exploded in his face. He's just
then he mentions the black spots have disappeared.
I did note that as well. Specks, specifically, because he said specks. That was like,
specks. Like Sa, maybe?
Yes, that's what I thought as well.
I think it's a red herring.
Yeah, it must be. The true power does come into play later, or not too much later after this interaction. But yeah, maybe this is just literally the explosion.
Could be. Now I'm doubting myself because we know that he does have access to it. We know that he's connected to Moradin already. Maybe during the struggle with Luz for the power, he couldn't get the one power, and he just for a second channeled the true power.
Also, would Semirog gamble her entire thing on this like small fireball that wouldn't kill him if he just puts up his hand? You know, like
I don't know. Her intention wasn't to kill him. was to capture him. And we talk, the Forsaken talk about this in the prologue of the next book. So,
okay. And I guess that's why she had the sad bracelets there and everything.
Yes, that's why it was capture. Right. It was a capture and not release, I suppose.
Maim and capture. Can still channel with one hand. Yeah. Okay, and I think that was pretty much it. Just like I had some notes about like the significance of Semirog just exposing Rand's madness here. We've been reading for books and books and books now about Rand and this inner dialogue and like how it's nobody knows what's going on in his head, and she's just laid it all bare, and he's not denying it.
Yeah, he can't.
No, he's too busy listening to Luz at that moment, telling him what's happening.
Going, hey buddy, we should get out of here. Kill them all. Kill them all.
Kill him. I told you. And I know.
Okay, cool. That's enough distraction from me and Luz. So you can carry on, Joe. Finish us on a positive note.
Oof, I don't know. It's not very positive. Matt on pips between the trees and surrounded by 2,000 mounted crossbowmen. We join him shortly after sunset. A major offense against the Seanchan will take place tonight. Well, major offensives. Tuon is with him, and Selusha by default as well, by extension. And he's thinking, what is she thinking about all of this? Like, she swore not to betray him, but he's about to launch all these offensives and kill thousands and thousands of Seanchan. Teslin is with him as well. He had preferred one of the former Suldam, not bound by any oaths. If he's going to have a channeler hanging around, possibly one that can throw fireballs when asked. And is well versed in war, but who knows if she, like, what's her name, Seta or Bethaman, was it those two, right?
Yes.
The Suldam with him, I think their names. Like, he doesn't know if one of those, if they had been with him, and it came down to the crunch of it, would they actually have used the one power against their own men, their own countrymen? So best to keep them away, and also the Aes Sedai were not keen on letting them go anywhere to do anything.
Yeah.
So Teslin is concerned that this plan of his relies too much on luck. Captain Medevwin, I think his name is. I've got several spellings of it here. Of the band, tells her, lady, it's a good thing to have luck like this when old Matt's around. Luck or no luck, this plan is basically to attack the Seanchan so hard, so fast, on so many fronts that they are always reacting and never enacting their own plans against him. So 2 of Eludra's green night flowers, so she's around for many reasons, explode in the night sky, the signal that they've been waiting for. He orders Vannon off on his little secret side mission, and the tub of lard canters off on top of his very small looking horse underneath him. They follow a road down through some low hills to a point where these hills flank the road just nicely into 2 little slopes. Perfect for a little ambush. The Seanchan have been avoiding the main roads, and this was the only one that led to one of their supply camps. Thanks for those maps. Roydell, was it?
Sounds about right.
Sounds like Rydell, which is the high school from Greece.
Yes.
Also sounds like Rodell.
Yes,
Captain.
Indeed. And this is the road that he's expecting those 3,000 lancers that Willie mentioned earlier when Matt jumped up. So mostly Altaran conscripts, but some Seanchan. They split into 2 groups, that's Matt's groups, and head up each side of the thinly treed slopes to the north and south of the road. Matt and Aes Sedai and Tuon, they wait in the road themselves. They dismount to get better shots, and the plan here is to win, not to be able to retreat on horseback quickly. And now they wait. So there's some questions about why they're getting off their horses. If they need to retreat, they'll have to mount again, and Matt's like, we're not retreating. We're winning. This is the plan. Now everybody's waiting. So while waiting, he's trying to convince Tuon to go and wait in the trees. She's not having it. And there's a line here about, no, I want to see you on the heights or something, on the hilltops. And he's like, hilltops? I'm in a valley on a road. Like, he can't figure it out. But I never wrote it down because I couldn't pin it down either. But now, having gone through the recap previously, the lion on the heights, I get it now.
On the high plains or something?
The high plains or something. Yeah, whatever. Not the low valley of the road.
No.
Yeah, so he can't figure it out. I was just like him. Teslin takes this moment as well to warn him about Jolene, just like Dolly Parton did. She's fascinated by him and will try to make him her warder, even if he doesn't realize he's agreeing to be her warder. Tuon hears all this and tells Tessie there's no fucking chance of that happening. Toy belongs to her, and she wouldn't give him to a Marth Damane anyway, even if she got bored with him, especially not to Rosie, the name that she intends to give to Jolene when she collars her. Like, damn. Yeah. Woman, watch that mouth. Teslin opens her mouth to start her hellish rebuke, but Matt cuts her off immediately. They can all shut the fuck up right now. Don't you start your shit. Teslin questions his tactics again. His little raids are only going to piss off the Seanchan until they send all their troops to crush him. And he's like, good, I'm counting on it. He wants to draw them out of that Mulvane gap so that he can get through it to Murrundi, to the north and further north. There's no other way. We've spoken about these hills that are impossible, these new hills and whatnot in the previous episode. So this is his plan. The Seanchan are holding that gap to prevent a possible attack from the north while they advance on Ilion. All reports are showing that they are moving on Ilion. So they're just closing off that gap so they don't get flanked from behind. Another 2 hours or so pass in blissful silence until the wind brings the sound of Vannon's horse trotting back under much strain, I would imagine. He's back from his mission with the now 4,000 lancers and Seanchan troops a mile or so behind him. They're outnumbered 2-1. Great odds for the band. It's like, at least it's not 10-1. So they head up the hills themselves to now go join the rest of the band. The men are at the ready. The crossbows are drawn or ratcheted or wound or whatever verb you want to use there. The news of 1,000 more lancers that have joined these 3,000 launchers doesn't faze Mandovan at all. He's like, all right. He just nods. The Seanchan start appearing on the road below, 4 abreast, leading their horses at a trot. There was also reports of this commander knowing his stuff, and they were moving fast, but sparing the horses, to make sure that they could reach their destination. So very well organized and a formidable force. But only the first 40 or so are true blood Seanchan from the homeland. The rest are all the Altarans, and so he'll have to kill mostly Altarans. He's not happy about that, but he can't just leave 4,000 enemy lancers prancing around the countryside. When around half of the column of Seanchan have passed them, their commander calls for a halt right in front of them. And Matt's like, this has got to be some fucking Taviran luck for this shit to happen right now, like this. The commander then orders them to mount, and Matt just whispers, now. And Teslin channels a ball of red light above the road, and 1,000 crossbow bolts fly from either side of the slopes, punching through men and horses. And 1,000 more, and 1,000 more. These crossbow bolts are literally ripping men to pieces. Legs are exploding off bodies, limbs are flying, other limbs are dangling. They are just ripping them apart. It's like one of those rotary cannons, just ripping through people.
Yeah.
It's like one of the later Rambo movies that got just so aggressively violent. The Seanchan commander, he can still hear him alive down there, shouting orders and ordering them to close on the trees before the enemy can reload, but it's too late. With those cranks, there's no time. Another 1,000 bolts from each side slam into the Altarans. Some of them go straight through men and kill the other men behind them. Jeez. The commander's voice eventually goes quiet, and all you hear are men and horses crying and moaning. Matt shouts to Mandovan that they are done here. They need to move. They have places to be. Like, Teslin tries to tell him that they must stay. Like, what are you doing? You must stay to offer aid to the survivors. Those are the rules of war. They demand it, and Matt replies with, this is a new type of war. He hears Tuon murmur, a lion can have no mercy. They move out to meet up with their regiments. They are going to hit the Seanchan again tonight, and he intends to make them run to pull that stopper out of the Mulvane Gap for him. The end. So yeah, not really a change of tone. More carnage, just from a Matt perspective.
Matt carnage.
Yeah.
Yeah, indeed. So yeah. Thoughts?
Willem.
Quick flip. Just Matt goes for this, however long they've been just cruising, sleeping on the caravan floor, acting that he's Lalwin Shipless's boyfriend, like no real thinking, no real doing, here and there a little bit of this and that, and band and go. That's it. When I'm with these guys, I want to fight, and picks a fight immediately. And it's not really a fight, because in a fight you expect to land a counter punch. It's more like a sucker punch to the Seanchan forces.
Yeah, they just obliterated that force with like no casualties.
Jesus.
Totally. They just bang. There you go.
Does he think to himself there were going to be 6 other attacks as well? Like, or is this...
He's got a bunch of them planned and lined up now, because
him personally, one more.
He's got to like absolutely rattle their heads. Like, how big is this army? How many armies are there? Like, okay, we need all our forces.
You hear later the reports that they give about how many men they think it is, and
like 10 times as much. Yeah.
So good. What else, Phil?
Nah, it's not a massive section. It's not a massive point of view. It's very straightforward. Tuon is there to witness it all, and she is
which is the good part.
Wow. Okay. Look at he's absolutely, and I think she's not too phased, because it's not really her countrymen too many. It's more sort of the hanger-on armies, the Altarans, the fence sitters that's jumped on board. So. Not the end of the
fence
world. Fence jumpers.
Not the fence sitters, yeah.
But still,
didn't have much of a choice.
All of this, like, you can't make decisions. Just look at him go now, and it's brutal.
Yeah,
heavy crossbows.
A lion can have no mercy. Respect.
It's like they can't offer aid. Their own people can come later and offer them aid. Yeah. We've got to go.
Yeah. Man, Devwin thinks back to how Matt had formed the band. I think he's telling Tuon, and how when they were like outnumbered a number of times, Matt danced the band around the enemies, not to avoid them, but to beat them. And he calls them beautiful battles. Then Matt goes, beautiful battles are ones you don't have to fight. He did not like battles. You could get holes poked in you in a battle.
Exactly. The Aes Sedai exclaims, "No, this is against the laws of war. We need to help them." Matt should have said, "I only help those who help themselves."
And run off. No.
He also thinks to himself how like the lancers who were sort of grumbling and moaning about losing their bright reflective armor, but the foot, usually commoners, immediately saw the sense. You know, the foot are like, oh no, that makes sense, let's take off our armor. But the nobles who are lancers are like, oh, we're gonna lose our armor. Matt is always making that distinction between like the nobility and not. And was it in this chapter or in a previous chapter where Is Tuon talking to Idorian or some of the other nobles as well about Matt, like asking, is he a noble or not? And they go, no.
Yes, previous
He's
chapter.
not a noble. Is that the previous chapter?
Yes.
There was a line in there that I liked that I might just not have made a note of, where I think it's Idorian that says, no, he quite dislikes nobility. I, in fact, take it as quite a compliment that I'm one of the very few that he does not dislike. You know, like it's known among all of them that Matt
with me
hates the nobles. Telmana's like, it almost does like a spit take when she asks, is he a noble or not? And he goes, excuse me, I just have to clean my ears. Did you just ask if Matt Cawthon is a noble?
No, that there in that chapter is because she speaks with such a drawl, and they've not been hanging out with the Seanchan. So they can't, and she's having the same problem. Like, why the heck are they speaking so fast? Like she must like,
Yeah. Anyway, good shit. Thank you,
I think
Joseph.
If we make a TV show about this, our own version, we should have the Sean Chan speak in a Scottish accent and everybody going, what?
I was on the train on the weekend. It was Monday, and they're either Scottish or Welsh, but from that part of the world.
No offense, anyone.
No.
Yeah.
And I could only understand like 2 words in between. And I was like, okay, this is entertaining.
Even strong Irish accents can be rough or like hard to understand for non-Irish speakers. Yeah.
I've lived in Scotland and Ireland, and I can attest to that. I lived in Scotland and worked there for 6 months in a hotel with this one guy that was super like bogan, Scottish bogan. And at the end of the 6 months, I still couldn't understand him. Like every day I worked with this guy, I'd just be like, what? One of the other Scottish guys that I'm still friends with used to speak with me in a fake British accent so I could understand him for 6 months.
Was that the hotel in which you met Christina?
No. That was an island.
That was an island.
No, this was when I was like 19.
Okay. Alrighty then. Let's cover our final chapter for this episode, which is chapter 28 called In Maldenville. What's
Mm.
happening in Malden?
Nothing important. We could skip it.
Yep, right. We are in that very next morning now, where I left you off, where Faile went to bed and they up bright-eyed bushy tails, but Diraine sticks her head in, and she's got the look of a snitch, and she then says, "Oh, I forgot to put my book that I've been reading to Savannah or Therav, I can't remember which one of the two now, away." And immediately Magdan sees through it, and she's like, she's lying, she's going to snitch, and fight ensue. They bind and gag her, and they're like, oh shit, what do we do now? Where do we store her? She's going to be found. We can't have this. Alejandra is like, just let's knife her. But that still poses the fact that a body will be found, and no, that doesn't work out. Faile sticks her head out of the tent, sees Bain and Shiad, and then also recognizes what gave her this inkling of that something's going on, because 30 odd of her follow-oners and newly sworn to people, including the old man and the young boy that stole the oath rod for her, all came off to see them off. So yes, 30 Gaishain gathered at the tent is signs that something is happening. Anyway, she tells them, thanks very much. Don't tell them about what happened inside because of it, and tell them to scatter in their very directions. And she informs the 2 maidens of the situation inside. And they're like, cool. They finger talk to each other, and they decide, yep, they'll take care of her. Don't worry about her anymore, because their plan was to waylay any men, because they've been kind of followed by these what are they called, the Brother Meridin and the Shadows that are in the camp there. Faile thinks to herself that maybe she finds Roland along the way, because it turns out it's quite treacherous for women to move around in this camp. You might just get dragged into a tent and abused by this drunken shadow dogs that are bored and have way too many servants around them. But their bags are packed with everything that they need, and Faile is pretty certain that Galina will, as soon as she gets them out, just ditch them anyway and do her own thing. So they've got to be self-sufficient to the best of their ability. With that, Bain and Shiatz comes out and say, like, don't worry. She's very silent, like she's actually carrying her, I think, at this stage. It's not even putting up a fuss. It just took a little whisper into her ear. And she's dead, scared. Diraine, that is. Shiat's got a message for Gaul. She's Gaishain now to a man with big hands and a heart of fire. whatever that means. But daylight is near, and the three of them need to move off. With baskets, they move on, just acting like normal Gashrain, getting ready to do laundry, where they find Arilla and Lucille. It's going to join them now, and the five of them are moving ahead, with their heads swiveling continuously, because bad things, as I said, happen in this part of Tent Town, with all of these lawless, brotherless, and shadow dogs. Halfway across the town, they start speeding up a bit. They can already sense that the water bearers, which is a constant task from the water citron, is being carted the whole time. It's like water is now such a cool novelty for them that it seems like they're abusing it to the point of having 2 baths a day. So unideal. Faile finds the ruins where she stashed the rods and has an audible sigh of relief when it's still there. Not that there's any reason why it should have disappeared, but still, it's good to know that it's there. And they then make their way to find this red marked building. They asked one of the, I can't remember who it is, asking what is it, the thing that she wants so desperately. And Magdan, who we know is more guys, who we know went to the tower but was put out as less powerful than she needs to be, says it could be a Tarangriel or Ungriel, either of it. The what's her name now? Damn, my handwriting's terrible here. Sorry. Is it Arilla? Arilla, yes.
Yes.
She's immediately learning that it's something to do with the power. Like, it doesn't want anything to do with it. Like, fears it straight out. So they find the red scarf marked building, and they all look at it and go like, damn, this is not a place you want to enter. But as they still discuss it, Kalina appears behind them and says, don't worry, it's all perfectly safe. Faile is like, okay, well, why can't I just give it to you right outside here and we move without going into? And it's like, no, people can see, and come on, just put one and one together now. Either which way, Aes Sedai can't lie. So they follow the Aes Sedai into a basement and then hands it to her. And the moment she gets it, it's almost like you can see the excitement in Galina's face. And then she apparently hears something with a magic hearing, tells them all to be very quiet. She'll go and check it out, only for her to go up the stairs and pull the last little plank that held the whole thing together, and it all comes crashing down. Galina has betrayed them, obviously. They shout for help.
Yep. That
falls on deaf ears, and it's like, okay, and everything starts making sense now all of a sudden, for Faile. And everyone's like, what do we do now? We're stuck here, and pragmatism 101, we start digging, which they start doing, and they start clearing planks only to find yet another collapse. And this one even way worse. They are well and truly stuck in a basement of what presumes to be, could have been an inn or a wine merchant. But either way, they are covered in soot. It's coffee, dusty, yucky, with a few little slivers of light coming in from the outside. And through that slivers of lights, they can see that red scarf hanging outside still. I kind of imagine that she's hearing wolves. And she's like, wolves would make me think of Perrin in the past, but she puts it aside, and the whole thing turns to Magdan. It's like, hey, you're going to have to channel to make that thing move, just so that we can get anyone's attention, even if it's, Shido, because even if we are caught after this, we can make up some story, but we won't be dying in here alone. And Magdan duly does, and try and try and try. Lots of word of encouragement and love and everyone surrounding her. She gets it right, and the thing flutters, even if it was just for a second at first, but with a continuous try. And that's where we have an end of that point of view and a move over to the point of view of Galina, who is proud of her betrayal. She is super stoked and she is free. She's daydreaming of her freedom. Didn't even realize she walked through the whole tented village already. But even in her daydreaming of freedom and what she would do with the Rava, she cannot kill her in her thoughts. That's powerful oaths.
That was
That's
rough, eh?
very, like, what? I can't even daydream about the thought of cutting her throat. Anyway, but thankfully, she's got the rod and she is free. End of the chapter. Quick and easy.
Yeah.
Not as free as you think, Galina.
No, it's just for us to feel bad at that moment. It's just like, oh, she's getting away with everything.
But that's right, Phil. Like, it hit me as well. Like how in her daydream, she's creeping up to Tharava where she's asleep, and she puts the knife to her neck. But then Tharava wakes up, and Galina like has a fright, and she drops the knife, and she starts wailing and crying. And she's like, wait, no, not that. That's not why she didn't do it. That's not, like. She is not just incapable of doing it. She starts wailing and crying in her own daydream.
Yes.
That's how badly broken she is by Tharava. Oh man, yeah. It's just done a real number on her.
Well, I think it's a real number that's done on her, and it's the oaths that's on her.
Yeah. Well, the oaths don't change how she thinks.
Or maybe this is why that rod is so special. You can't even think shit.
No, the rod is not special. It's just the binding rod.
Bind you and your thoughts and your desires.
What is the oath that she made to Tharava that she won't channel
unless she's given permission
Tharava
to,
is given permission? Yeah. So, no, that's just pure psychological torture and beatdown. Like Tharava is
better.
Bad news. That's.
Really impressed.
But what a pro is Morghese. Like Galina, awful. Morghese, legend.
Hero.
Like Faile's giving her this message, like, oh, you can do it. You don't have any quit in you and that sort of stuff. And that's what like Faile has observed of Magdan. And it's true. It's like everything we've seen of Morghese as well. Like even before that with the Ravin compulsion and stuff, like she is that person that doesn't have any quit in her. And there's a couple mentions in here that are like really cool, like just like little moments for Morghese. The one is obviously like spotting the liar in the beginning when that woman says something to them and Morghese is like, she's lying. And then they jump her. And they're like, how did you know she was lying? And she goes, well, she was frowning before. And then when she said, oh no, she'll get beaten, she stopped frowning. If she was talking about getting beaten, she should have been frowning more. Yes, yeah. Exactly. Mm. And she was right. And it's fucking great. Like she gets them out of there basically, like, in that moment. And then later when the building has collapsed and they're all dirty and stuff, someone asks, what are we going to do now? And then Faile and Magdan both simultaneously, they say, dig our way out. And then they look at each other and Faile thinks her maid's dirty face held a queen's resolve.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yes, because she is a queen. Or at least she was until she said she's not queen anymore.
Yeah.
That's cool shit. But then back to that lady that they captured, the guy Shane. Bane and Chihad, like, they subdue her. Bane says she subdued her by like just stroking her hair and saying, it would make me so very, very sad if I had to hurt you. And which is true because she would incur tow for hurting a guy Shane. So like what Bane was saying was factually correct, but the way she was saying it made it sound like a threat. And that just makes Chihad like she has a silent shudder of laughter as she's laughing about how they've just done a number on this chick. She's dead quiet. They haven't knocked her out or anything, but she's choop still. So good. Did you have anything, Joe?
No, you covered most of it. I was just also thinking about the encouragement. As I recall it, it's Faile and like people are taking turns encouraging Magdan. Yes. Like you could do it, like rubbing her shoulders and like massaging her shoulders. You got this. You got this. You got this.
You gotta have this. Come on. My last one here that I missed was also Bane and Chihad lighting a fire under Gaul. Like they're sending a message with Faile to say, if you meet Gaul, tell him that Chihad has been taken Gaishain by a man with strong hands and a fire in his heart or something like that. Something along those lines, just to like spur him on even more. There's another tender moment when Bane and Chihad are saying goodbye to Faile. I think it's Bane that sort of like touches Faile's face and tells her, may you always find water and shade, and that one day we will meet again. You know, like they are Aiel from a different nation with a different mission and everything, but even they are like super loyal to Faile. Like they've formed a real tight bond ever since like the Stone of Tyr, you know, like when they were missioning around together. Okay, well, that's it from me. If you don't have anything else, Joe, then I will ask the two of you if you have remembered to pick a favorite moment.
I did. I sure did.
Jody's too busy having the biggest yawn I've ever seen him have.
If I had tonsils, you could have seen him.
Yes. All right, Phil, lay it on us.
My favorite moment is a very small little moment in the point of view of Tuon when Tom tells her about Taviran. And she's like, tied to the pattern? Totally doesn't believe it. And then 3 birds pop out and does 3 little circles over Matt. And she's like, oh my God, I've got to stay with this man. It was 3 birds. So stupid.
So dumb. Like, what's that other one about the ants? If you break the ants line, depending how long it
How many
takes them
days
to
then
reform
there's
the
gonna
line, that's how
rain.
long it's going to... Yeah, God. It's so stupid.
There's a thing as well, like another moment in this book where Matt sees an owl flying, a large owl, while they're waiting for this ambush, and he goes, Tuon's probably going to see something in that now as well. And she probably does. It's like anything that happens, a bird flying, a dog barking, like it could, you have no idea what could set off her.
Totally. Yeah. It's so cool. Like, I mean, it's very purposefully done as well, obviously. I mean, it's actually quite on the nose. Like, oh, Taviran bullshit. Oh, then here's some of my bullshit.
Yeah.
How about you, Joe?
Mine is actually that terrible sequence, that POV of Matt again, and his crossbowmen just fucking obliterating 4,000 human bodies.
In ruthless efficiency.
Minutes.
Yeah.
And then just like, all right, next. Like,
rush the trees so they can't no. Sorry.
Guys are like trying to get on their horses. They're not even 1 foot in the stirrup. Bonk, dead.
Crossbow bolts going through people and killing those behind them. Yeah. Rough.
Just those crossbows, man. Oh, just
heavy bow,
next
heavy
level.
crossbow is a strong thing. I've got a little honorable mention.
Shoot.
Yeah, Mirage. That is
just that happened.
So brazen. Don't have to hide who I am.
Yeah.
I'm not afraid of you. I will escape this. This is nothing.
Like pays no attention to the dagger in her shoulder.
Don't care.
It's like,
don't need healing. Whatever.
I
Probably
hide who I
it will
am?
fester out by itself and heal. She's badass. She is pretty badass.
Mine is, I mean, most of that like sequence of events that leads Tuon to believe that Matt is actually something else, but specifically like when Matt rides into the camp and the men start singing, and eventually the entire camp is singing. They're all singing. Is it Jack of the Shadows or whatever it is? It's, whatever the song is. And then when he does the thing with his spear, and they all go quiet. But like imagine like they're all like singing, full-throated singing for their returned leader that they are so like dedicated to.
But also,
it's
now
fucking cool.
The thing that really builds on that is that it's 1/6 of them is men that have fought with Matt. The other lot of them haven't met Matt. So
we don't know if the new men that joined the band are split across the banners in exactly that way. There could be more that have fought with Matt before. What did Talmanis say he brought with him? Crossbowmen.
Yeah, crossbowmen. But I mean, they've grown foot and crossbowmen. Like, they've grown tremendously, but still, you call it 50-50. Every single man.
So they must be like singing about Matt when he's not around as well, or like talking about him, like building up his legend and stuff.
Building this
for sure.
He has legendary status within that band. The Red
like
Hand.
the nobles do here with Tuon as well. I misspoke earlier. It wasn't Idoren, it was Kalorman that says he dislikes nobles for the most part. I count it an honor to be among the few he does not dislike. So like all his boys, all his wingmen here are like building him up as well. Like, oh no, his luck is good, and don't worry, it's beautiful battles and stuff. Like this guy, you have no idea.
You'll be all right. You're not gonna die.
Guys, Matt's here. Everything's fine, which is really cool. And then what did I have? I had 3 honorable mentions. 1, the maidens telling Gaul that they're going to get Chiad to get to Chiad first to keep her from him, just to light a fire under him. That was pretty funny. Another great honorable mention: Faile slapping Galena and staggering her. Oh, satisfying. Yes, nothing beats a bit of hand to hand. And then also the moment of Min telling them, guys, no, Rand's not in shock. He simply knows that he can't do anything about it, and he's already left it behind. Like he's moved on. It's like minutes later. Yeah, good stuff. All right, then a couple favorite moments from our listeners. So they're all very, very similarly themed. Let's start with that from Levi Wagner. Levi had sent this in last episode already, but he says, my favorite section in the book so far is from Tuon's point of view and her comment of Matt being a lion on the hill. So like this is not even Levi's favorite moment from those chapters. It's his favorite moment from the entire book so far, which, I mean, I can understand. And then Gerald had sent in a favorite moment, which is not quite the same. It's a tricky one with the Semirog action, but for me, it was how Matt ambushed the Seanchan and then left them all there on the road. This is a new kind of war. Rough. Yeah. Matt,
I agree.
Evolving with the times. Of course, Joe. That's kind of like the full stop
Good
to
choice.
the end of your favorite moment as well. And then we still have a recorded favorite moment from Marlene, which we promised that we would play in this episode, and that goes a little something like this.
I love watching Tuon trying to figure Matt out. And the lion finally breaks through when he's looking at all the maps, and she realizes he's a lot more than she suspected. If only she knew about his real relationship with Rand, about being the hornblower, OMG, and all the memories in his head that makes him the son of battles. She has no idea. It's hilarious.
Agreed, Marlene. It is hilarious because, man, is there a lot she doesn't know. All those memories and stuff is cool. The fact that he blew the horn, I will say this, he has blown the horn of Valir, but at this point, he is no longer the horn sounder. His tie to the horn has already been severed.
But still, I forgot about that. Like, that was such a major thing in the first, 3 books. Yes. And I was just like, whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, the horn of Valir. Trinkets.
Yeah,
it's a trinket,
but a trifle
to the rest. Yeah.
But yes, also I also took immense satisfaction out of Tuon's almost like consternation, right? Like she's like, who is this guy? And like that's why I read that section from the end of that part of the book, where she's like, oh shit, she actually has had no idea who it is that she's dealing with, and I love that.
Yes.
All right, so to the rest of our listeners, send us your favorite moments, your corrections, answers to our questions, or any question you can dream up for us and the community to solve together. There are a bunch of ways that you can reach us. Try any of the hyperlinks in the episode description, which will take you to our Discord, X, Blue Sky, Facebook page, or website. On our website, you can leave a text message or you can record a 90-second voice message, just like Marlene did, that we can play on the show. So give it a shot. After you've sent in your contributions, please rate and review the show on your favorite podcast platform so we can get to more people to pick their brains. And once you've done all of that, pick up Knife of Dreams one more time to prepare for next time on Blood and Ashes, in our penultimate episode for Knife of Dreams. We will cover chapters 29 through 32. It's 4 more chapters, so a nice even split for the two of you. No more argy-bargy behind the scene about who wants to do 2 and who wants to do 1, and why isn't Mo doing 1? What a lazy bastard.
Yeah.
No, right?
Like, you do not pull your weight, Moritz, at all.
I don't.
No, it's like, it's noticeable.
I do all the easy parts, hey?
Yeah.
Be long.
I mean, these chapters, looking at the descriptions, the last knot, I mean, we all know what that's going to be. Outside the gates, is that outside the gates of Malden, or is it outside the gates of Camelin?
Sure.
One of the two.
I know.
House on Full Moon Street, we know how that goes, and to keep the bargain, I
not
think
well.
that's big, like almost like a Sanderlanche
yeah.
of like conclusions and wrapping up of storylines and stuff now in the next 2 episodes, because there's only 2 more episodes left for this book.
Yep.
It's unbelievable to me. And it's
We're
on
getting
book
there,
12.
eh? Then 12,
Jeez.
13, 14.
Yeah.
Then, done.
Yeah.
I think
Okay,
for book 14, we should just do one long podcast. 17, 18 hours straight.
10-hour podcast to talk about the whole book. Man, I can't wait for that shit. And I can't wait for this next couple episodes as well. Like I said, this whole book through, like
good.
after having read the whole thing, it is good shit. So I guess without any further ado, all I will do is say to you guys, sleep well and wake.
Au revoir.
Buenos dias.